Hello and welcome. Thanks for listening. This is episode 19 of the Video Game Dads podcast, where three guys in a basement talk gaming, fatherhood, and everything in between. Everything in the world. Uh-oh. This is going to be a long podcast. 2 hours turned into 20. Can you imagine we did a marathon podcast? Is that a thing?
We should. It'll be like one of those psychedelic songs from the 70s where we just keep playing.
Yeah, except we're not good, and people won't listen to us. Yeah, we're like if you play Pink Floyd backwards, you get us.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
And you could play us when you're doing Wizard of Oz. Have you ever done that? That Dark of the Moon. You heard about that?
Oh,
right?
yeah. If you play it, yeah. So if you play Pink Floyd backwards, you get us, and then if you play us backwards, you get Wizard of Oz.
Yes,
that's the way it works, right?
It's a horse of a different color. So we are your hosts. I am Benjamin,
and I'm Adam.
And Shane is away again. We might have a little surprise for episode 20. No spoilers. We don't know. Maybe he might be able to join us. But Shane is off taking care of better things. Is that right, Adam?
That is correct. Yeah, Shane, our Shane update for the episode is that they are in St. Louis getting radiation therapy now.
Yes.
So big time for them. So please, everybody keep them in your thoughts and prayers.
Yeah, and they were going to go to Houston, but obviously something dramatic happened in Houston.
They were getting ready to do the radiation therapy, and then a hurricane happened.
Oh, yeah. We feel for anybody around that area, or if you know anybody there, that looks devastating. My wife works in insurance, and she doesn't even work directly with that kind of thing in insurance, but it's all hands on deck for my wife's company. So they were all brought in it's a huge company. It's the one that bum, 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 bum. I won't tell you what that is, but you kind of know that if you know the commercials. She works for that company, and everybody's taking care of those callers and things like that. And
big deal. Lots of people. And for nobody that's ever been to Houston, that I think the national news media kind of underestimates the size of Houston. It is enormous.
Houston's huge.
I know. I've been there several times, and it's amazing.
Isn't it right behind Chicago?
City. Yeah, but I mean, land area wise, it's quite a bit larger than Chicago, I believe.
Oh,
and still has nearly as many people, and then you think about all the suburban areas and adjacent towns, and real mess.
Yeah. My goodness, he is in St. Louis. Yeah, we hope to see him soon. All right, and Adam, where can you email us?
You can email us at videogamedads@yahoo.com.
All right, and our Facebook.
Facebook.com/videogamedads.
And our Twitter is @videogamedads, and we have our new Instagram. Follow us. We've gotten some new followers, have some fun stuff for you to check out. We're trying to take pictures of our collections and do whatever, but it's been fun kind of getting new listeners and feedback from you. At our Instagram is also @videogamedads. Send us questions, comments, concerns, video game book club stuff. Really love hearing from you guys. See, what else kind of went on? Do you have a good last couple weeks, Adam?
I have, yeah. I was on vacation this last week.
Nice.
Which was always nice.
Nice.
Yeah, recuperating.
Nice. We did that. Laura and I did make fun of a spa day.
A spa day.
Have you ever done that before?
I have not. My wife has been after me at times to do that.
Yeah.
But then the problem with the spa is people touch you and stuff.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. And that's kind of I'm big on personal bubble space.
Yeah.
And so the idea of going to a place and people I don't know touching me.
Sure.
kind of bothers me.
Yeah, and you're paying for it.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know that I could get comfortable with that.
They have other things in the spot. So we did a couple. This thing is expensive too. She got a Groupon, but then this, we don't do this. So we had our, someone watch our kiddo, our 6-month-old, and it was a great break. It was 3 tiers. The first thing was a bath. I haven't taken a bath in 15 years.
That's right.
I have taken many showers since then.
It was basic. Was it like Dumb and Dumber when they get the grinder out?
What?
Dumb and Dumber, the movie.
Yeah, I know the grinder. Organ grinder? What are you talking about?
No, like a grinder to get rid of the toenails.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. God, that movie's good. I heard the second one wasn't so good, but I have a soft spot in my heart for the original Dumb and Dumber and goodbye, my love. And then he hits and then gets the airbag in his face. Exactly. That part's pretty funny.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
Yeah. Wait, you're telling me you traded our car for that? Good going. And then when he drinks the bottle of pee or whatever. It's there's some good stuff. Yeah, telling me there's a chance. Or someone landed on the moon and he freaked out. And it's like someone landed on the moon. Anyway, so the first part was a bath, and that was interesting because it's 30 minutes in this it looks like a huge bathtub. And I will tell you, it makes me want a bathtub because I'm kind of tall. I'm like 6'2", and any bathtub I'm in, I look like, fat guy in a little jacket. What, right? Isn't
Yeah,
it?
fat guy in a little coat.
That coat, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it
Tommy boy.
feels like. Yeah, you feel like you're an idiot just sitting there waiting in water, and your knees are up, and your knees get cold. So then you scoop back and put your knees underwater, and they feel warm, and then your back's cold, and you go back and forth. This was nice, and there was lights in there, and there was salt water and seaweed in there, I guess, from what that guy said. And then after that, we got our massage, which was a couple's massage. So we were in the same room. We had like choice of male or female or whatever, and I said, I don't care. You tell me.
Smart man.
Yeah, it's like what I'm not gonna get caught in that kind of thing. But it ended up, I think the lady I got my massage from the lady, and my wife got her massage from the guy, and they were both like older, like not as bad thing, but they were both in their 50s, but they knew what they were doing. It worked out. I tell you, when they get to my feet, man, it takes everything in me to not like giggle because they work my feet. And then the last part was a sauna. Have you ever done a sauna?
I have. I find them uncomfortable.
Yeah, so I have this. I don't feel like I'm claustrophobic. What's the other thing? Like claustrophobic. Not
claustrophobic or agoraphobic or
or like can't breathe phobic. Like that's what happens to me in a sauna, where like I'm in there and it's really warm and I'm like, and then I breathe in all this like hot air and I feel like, oh my God, I'm dying.
Yeah, it seems like a good place to get a fungal lung infection.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Right. But people don't get it from there. So then I'm like, right.
Well, that we know of.
That we know of, right? Yeah, I know. I think that too, because your lungs are a hot, moist place. They're dark, perfect breeding ground for bacteria. But anyway, the lady said it was all automatic. She said you can turn on the water, and then cool water comes in to like make the temperature less. And I'm the only one in there, right? So it's another 30 minutes in there. I'm like, I'm going to tough this out. I'm not going to die. So it starts to, and you can see the temperature on your left on this digital gauge, and it went from like 75, 85. And once it got to like 92, it was really hot. But then I noticed if you get low to the ground, you could breathe better. So I start like thinking, well, I'm not going to get out of here, but I'm going to start getting lower. So I got off the bench and I was like getting low to the ground.
Yeah, but you won't get rid of the toxins if you don't sweat them
toxins.
out. Man. Yeah, you got to get rid of those toxins.
Yes, the toxins and when you drink your fruit and all this other stuff, the toxins. Yes, because your kidneys don't do any of that already. I digress. But anyway, so I went through it and I did get used to it. And I feel like the next time I'm in a sauna, I can do better, because every time I've been in a sauna, I'm in there 5 minutes. I kind of freak out and then I leave.
That's right. You just have to train through the pain.
Yeah, or just the uncomfortableness. But it ended up being okay, and it was kind of cool to just sit there and then start sweating. I guess that's the point, right? You start sweating. That doesn't sound like fun, but I think you also sweat so much because there's so much moisture in the air and
the toxins.
And the toxins, yeah. But anyway, it was okay, and they were playing some, bubble music and some.
They should have been playing Eye of the Tiger.
Ching Chang, yeah. Well, they should have been playing
some Rammstein.
Take You to the Bank, because that was at the end. It was a little pricey. I could have bought a Switch or something or more. Like, I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, but your Switch never would have survived the sauna.
Yeah, and my Switch doesn't touch me the way that Ingrid touched me. I'm just okay. Enough of this. Anyway, so what was great about that is it tested my calm, because I get in my car and all of a sudden my wife noticed this before I did. She's like, "Why is the car vibrating?" And I'm like, "Bless America for French toast." The check engine light's on. It was the newer car we got. The white Mercedes. And then so I'm like, great. So we had to wait for a tow truck, which luckily the tow truck was quick. And then we took an Uber home. And I was just like, don't be expensive. But it wasn't. Luckily, it was just a cylinder coil. So that was good.
Oh, okay.
That was just like $180, something like that. That's what I kind of thought it was going to be. I crossed my fingers. That's all it was. But we took an Uber. Ubers are cheap, man. I got all the way from...
I actually feel bad that Uber's so cheap.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, you drove me across town. Here's a...
$17.
It cost me a vanilla wafer and a paperclip. Have a nice day.
Yeah, that was it. So I went downtown all the way. I live real south of the city. $17 for both my wife and I. And it's like, in the middle of traffic. And then I even took an Uber too, because the place we take it is, I trust these guys really well. That's where I bought the car from. It's a reputable shop, worth taking my car to, but lives way out. Like, honestly, like you're almost the drive, I guess, to get here. It's a ways away from home, and I took an Uber there to pick it up. But again, the Uber there was like $17.
Yeah, Uber's dirt cheap unless you hit them during the high demand times or whatever.
They still do that here?
I've taken them back and forth a couple of ball games before. And
Yeah.
it's like 4 times as much to go back and forth to like a big event than it is to just go to the grocery
We should
store.
ask Shane too, because Shane, if you're a longtime listener, I still feel like a dork saying that all the time. Anyway, if you're a longtime listener, you know Shane has been an Uber driver in the past. He's obviously not doing that now because he's taking care of his family and especially his little girl. I took the Uber and I left my wallet in the car, so that was great. I got my car all the way home, and that's when I texted you. We were supposed to talk through the podcast or go through our like outline, our 10-minute talk we do, and I didn't call you that night because I didn't have my wallet, and I finally got a hold of the guy, and he was at the airport, and I just wanted him to grab it before he didn't even see it because I have a black wallet and a black leather seat. It was just because I'm not used to sitting in the back of someone's car. I don't sit in the back of someone's car since it was like my grandma's car or something like that. So anyway, I got my wallet back, so that was great. I even threw him a little extra tip, and plus Uber charges you to bring your wallet back. They have like a protocol for that,
do they really?
So it's like $15. But again, I don't care. It's my damn wallet. I needed it back, and he brought it back like midnight because he was like, I'll just probably bring it at the end of my shift. I'm like, that's fine. Just as long as you bring it back. But yeah, he wanted to do the Uber Black. That's something I wonder if Shane, once everything gets back into swing, if he wants to do that. So there's a high level of Uber.
Yeah, that's the high end.
Yeah,
right?
and I'm like, I even kind of want to do that. I told it I already drive.
It's
a
never
lot for-
available. Whenever I Uber, it's always like you can have a Prius or a Ford Focus.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's never an option.
Well, I started thinking about it. I don't know, you can make a good amount of money, but you have to have a black car, black leather, and it has to be within 5 years old. And I'm thinking that sucks because if you get a 3-year-old car, you can only drive it for 2 years for that service, and then it goes. Anyway, I was doing what I do with video games and like was thinking about the math and how much you can make and stuff. And the guy said he does well. It's best to start at the top tier. That way you can drive everybody. Because I just paid for a regular Uber and he had like a nice luxury. He was in the Uber Select. But he picked me up because he was going to the airport anyway, and I was like 2 minutes from his home. So I was like, all right, that's cool. That's a nice offer. So I know when Shane was doing it, he wasn't a big fan, but he said, the driver said they've fixed a lot in the last few
I think
months.
there's a way you can actually tip the drivers now and things that they
there is. Yeah, you can do a custom tip, 5, 10, or 20% or whatever. And I'm like, it's already so cheap. I always try to pay it forward to make up for the people who don't tip.
Yeah.
Whatever karma I can get. But anyway,
So this is a video game podcast.
this is a video game podcast,
Yeah.
but we did the everything in between just now. If
That's
you paid
right.
attention.
There may be some more in between.
Yeah.
Before the end of this one.
Yeah, there's a lot in between. The creamy in the middle. So what do you say we get onto the video game book club?
Yeah, let's do the video game book club.
All right.
So this week's video game book club is brought to you by Mousetrap.
By Milton Bradley.
Hey, give that back!
Mouse trouble? Then you need Mousetrap. Mousetrap, I guarantee it's the craziest trap you'll ever see. The first to capture everyone else's mouse is the winner. Just turn the crank and snap the plank and boot the marble right down the chute. Now watch it roll and hit the pole and knock the ball in the rubber duck tub, which flips the man into the pan. The trap is set. Here comes the net. Ouch! Mousetrap, I guarantee it's the craziest trap you'll ever see. I knew you were a winner. Mousetrap from Milton Bradley.
All right, and those newly joining us, our Video Game Book Club is a segment where each episode we pick a game that may be overlooked or misunderstood, most likely not in the top 15% of whatever system library we're currently discussing, and then we pick it, and then in between episodes play it, and then we discuss it on the following episode. We encourage our listeners to submit suggestions for the Video Game Book Club to discuss. You can, though, go free willy-nilly. You can pick any system known to man. It could be a handheld or whatever. Just put a little spiel why you're submitting it, and just remember, try not to be in the top 15%, give or take, of the popularity of that system, and we will put it in our pool and randomly pick it every episode to go alongside our video game dad pick. That might be the best time I explain that thing. I need to just record that, and that's so hard to explain, but I think I did it. There we go. So our video game dad book club pick was, Adam, what'd you do?
Android Assault on the Sega CD.
The Sega CD, yeah, we're giving some love to the old Sega CD. We were going to move on to the PlayStation, but we said no.
No, Sega CD needs its time in the sun.
Sega CD needs its time in the sun because it didn't get any time in the sun when it came out. Yeah, unless you're Sega CD Universe, Mike. Yeah, and the guy you should, if you really like the Sega CD, you want to learn more about it, there's a guy that has a full library. It's Sega CD Universe on YouTube. Mike Anthony, also known as Vampire Mike. I've spoken with him here and there. He's a great dude, knows his stuff. Has a very entertaining YouTube channel. I like it. He's got like a lo-fi, where he just like shoots the crap a lot, and I always appreciate that. But anyway, check him out if you want to learn more about the Sega CD. It's Sega CD Universe at YouTube. Anyway, so let's talk about our pick, Adam.
The Android Assault.
Android Assault.
Android Assault on the Sega CD was released in 1993.
93 might be, if you noticed a trend here, 1993 has like been where half of our games have been
I know,
released.
it seems like we're kind of stuck on 93 for whatever reason.
It was a great year.
It was a year.
Yeah.
It was a year just before the mid-90s.
Yeah, there's this movie that came out, 63 million years in the making. We'll just leave it at that. Also came out in 1993. Demolition Man came out in 1993.
Yeah,
that is a classic.
The better of the two movies you just referenced.
I know what he's perfect.
So this game was released in 1993 and developed by Human Entertainment.
Okay. That's very specific.
And it was published in the United States or North America, the NTSC version, by Big Fun Games.
Cool.
Yeah, as opposed to its rival, Little Crappy Games.
Yeah. Didn't last long.
Yeah, that one dried up in a hurry.
Big Fun Games. Yes.
Yeah, Big Fun Games. So, and then Human Entertainment actually published it in Japan. It's kind of a pricey game.
Is it? How much is it?
The disc only runs about $70.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Okay.
complete will run you 100 or a little better.
So you must have gotten it when it was cheap.
Yeah, I got it pretty cheap, but mine, I have the case, the back art, and the disc. I don't have the manual for it.
Okay.
So mine is not a complete copy.
It's worthless. Throw it in the trash.
No, all the parts that matter are there, which is the disc.
I agree.
and it does work. But pretty cool game, pretty good game. I've been picking too many shooters as of late, but this is a horizontally scrolling shooter.
Yep.
And anybody that's familiar with kind of popular Japanese anime kinds of things, this draws a lot from that. Things like Gundam or Macross or Macross, however you pronounce that, or like Transformery kind of vibe. You start out as a spaceship.
Yep.
And then you collect power-ups, and there's different versions of that. There's like a laser weapon, a missile weapon. Actually, there's a couple of missile weapons. So it's kind of got the standard fare as far as the way the weapons work and the way the power-ups work. And you take a hit, and you basically backstep backwards through the weapons, unless you hit a wall, in which case you're instantly dead.
Instant dead, which I was doing good early on.
Yeah, and they use
then
the
all of a
walls
sudden
against you big time.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, you can look at those kind of as cheap deaths, I suppose. But the music's really good. It's kind of interesting.
No, the music's really good. So I was telling you, I feel like the music sounds like it is a soundtrack to an 80s sitcom.
It's sort of,
Which that sounds terrible.
Like a zany.
Yeah, it's like
80s sitcom.
Perfect Strangers.
Yes.
Like I was thinking about Perfect Strangers while playing this game. How freaking weird is that?
It's interesting because Cousin Balky actually pilots the ship in this game.
Does he? And he
Yes.
does the dance of
And,
joy.
and Cousin Larry.
Cousin Laddie.
Yeah, however you say
I
that.
remember his girlfriend's.
Yeah, he's actually the boss at the end.
Their girlfriends are really attractive.
So there's that's a common theme among.
Oh, I know,
sitcoms.
right?
Yeah,
Sitcom.
yeah.
The
There's
Jeff
always
Foxworthy
there's
show.
always like this slob of a dude.
Yeah.
Married like King of Queens.
Oh,
or,
yeah.
just any sitcom.
And they always
Yeah.
pick some good wives. I'm always like, dang, they did good. I'll watch another
Well,
episode.
the husband is always a moron who can't do anything.
Yeah.
Just like slovenly and gross and stupid and
Yeah.
no redeeming value.
But it's not
whatsoever.
like they need to do that. Like, I'm not going to talk like Home Improvement. I actually think they picked a really good couple there. Like, they seemed like a couple.
Well, they seem like people
They
that
seem-
could actually be married to one another.
Yeah,
Yes.
like Home Improvement was an exception, and I thought they were like really good. But yeah, for the most part, even like freaking TGIF. What's the thing with Urkel? Like, that mom
the
was
Winslows?
Yeah, was more attractive than and he was. He played the same character in Die Hard when he.
Julia White did?
No, the dad.
I know, I'm just messing
okay.
with you.
Yeah, messing. He was.
It would have been awesome had Urkel been in Die Hard, though.
Yeah, or Jamal Urkel. What was his one? Stefan.
Stefan, that's
Instead
right.
of Stephen
That's right.
Urkel, Stefan Urkel.
Yeah, Stefan was his cooler persona.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, back to the music. The music, yes, okay. God dang, man, we do a
Tangent-
lot of
Tangent
we
City.
do a lot of 7 Degrees of Kevin Bacon or whatever the heck with that. But it sounds next time. Go on YouTube at the very least if you weren't able to play this game. And like it's kind of a funky jazz riff, like kind of happy-go-lucky. I really like it. And shooters, some of the best soundtracks in the world are on shooters, and I was not kind of expecting this kind of sound.
It's the CD quality.
Yeah, I mean, even our other pick that we'll get to soon, I really like the soundtrack, and I mean, that music is great. I mean, I could just listen to it all the time. So I liked this game. I wasn't a fan of the cheap deaths. There is also, it has vertical scrolling areas.
It does, yeah.
When you're still in a side scroll mode. So imagine your ship is still facing left to right, or your like humanoid figure that you've turned into if you've gotten some power ups, and then you're scrolling north. And I'm kind of like, okay, to like at least change the ship, and then I start like moving up, and I run into a wall that I didn't see coming. So there was some cheap deaths. Of course, that's part of shooters. And the next time I play it, I would have gotten past that, and then that's how you progress. But I feel like either the ship is slightly too big, or the world needs to be like opened up a little bit. But yeah, I mean, it's really good. It's fun, and I really do think the music and the locale. I didn't get super far. How far did you get?
Oh, I think I got like not real far, probably to level 4 or so.
Okay, yeah. Does have a nice little anime style.
It's got lots of, I mean, for the time that it came out in the vintage, there's a lot of, I mean, it's left to right, but there's quite a bit of up and down scrolling, and there's a lot of parallax. I think there's like 6 layers or so of parallax.
Yeah.
And it honestly, it feels like it should be a TurboGrafx game probably, but
Yeah.
or PC Engine for those.
Yeah,
people.
it did. It
But-
felt a very PC Engine-ish.
But yeah, good game. I mean, it's a good pickup. I don't know that I would spend $100 on it.
No,
but,
no.
But
Must be uncommon.
it's good.
No FMV in this one.
No, I mean, well, I guess there's some anime at the beginning, kind of in the intro, which I guess might be FMV.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not an FMV heavy game as the Sega CD is known for.
Yeah, but very good. I'd recommend it if you are a fan of shooters. I'd say, right, when you say Adam.
Oh yeah. If you like shooters, if you like Lords of Thunder or
And what's the name of this game again? We have to keep saying
Android Assault.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because like I do that sometimes too. I listen to like 3 or 4.
yeah, this
other
is not as
podcasts
good
and
as Lords
forget.
of Thunder and some of those other games. But,
Yeah.
but it's definitely in the same family. If you like that kind of stuff, you'll like this.
Yeah,
that kind of
and it's
thing.
not super fast. I feel like it's one that's not super hard. It doesn't get bullet hellish or anything.
Yeah,
like that.
yeah, it's about the right amount of difficulty, not bullet hell,
Yeah.
skill based. It's good. Star Soldiers, kind of like this, those kind of games.
Yeah, very good. Okay. All right, so moving on to our second pick. This was our listener pick. I really liked this one. This pick was Plok,
Plok.
Plok exclamation point, for the Super Nintendo, or otherwise known as SNES, or otherwise known as the SNES. We never said that
Or
really.
the
I'm not-
Super Famicom.
Or the Super Famicom. So Plok was an interesting pick. Did you? Do we still have who? Someone wrote in again. We'll
I think Joshua actually sent this one, if I remember right. But
okay. And then we'll
Sorry
also,
if that's not right.
No, that's okay, because he like messaged. We'll get to our messages at the end of the show or whatever. So I think he messaged us. So we'll give him a shout out for his pick. It is a game I never heard of.
Yep.
Neither of us own.
Yep.
I was able to play it. I'll tell you kind of how I was able to play it here shortly. But and then you played it too.
Mm-hmm.
So it is a 2D
2D.
platformer, side scroller,
Yep.
with an interesting protagonist.
Yes.
Do you have the spiel up about like when it was made and all this kind
Sort
of
of.
stuff?
Again, a 1993 vintage.
Of course.
Of course. So basically, we're just going to rename this podcast to
1993,
the year in video games.
Yeah.
But this is made by Software Creations
Okay.
and published by Trade West here in North America, Activision in Japan, and actually by Nintendo in Europe.
Nice. Yeah. So this game, okay, so the little protagonist guy, it looks real kiddie, but this I don't think is a kiddie game.
It's hard. It's too hard to be a kiddie game.
It's hard, and it's funny. So it has 2 difficulty settings: normal and like
Child's Play or something.
And Child's
Yeah.
Play. And what's funny about Child's Play is the only difference is there are these when you're scrolling up through the levels, down the hills coming towards you are logs. If you play it on normal, you can't shoot the logs and kill them. You just have to avoid them and jump over them. But in Child's Play, you can shoot them and kill them. But outside of that, the hits that you get your life bar, which also is funny, your life bar has like 20 ticks in it.
Yeah, but it takes out like 6 every time you get hit.
Yeah, or more.
Yeah.
Some things take out so you only get about 3 hits. It's funny, they should have just done 3 or 4 hit total, because you can only take about 3 hits before you die, yet this life bar makes it look like Castlevania or something. But that doesn't change when you're on Child's Play. But what Child's Play gives you are continues. So do not mess around and put on normal. Just put on Child's Play and then swallow your pride, because all it does is give you continues. It's not necessarily easier.
Yeah, the adult, it's when you're dead, you're done. It's back to the beginning.
Yeah, so it's very colorful. The guy that you're playing as, Plok, basically is a somewhat humanoid figure. He's just a block with a head that's not attached to him, and a la Rayman, your arms and legs are not attached to your body.
Yeah, they're like floating.
You throw them, so it's really interesting. So you basically have a punch button, and what your punch button does is about 3 feet ahead of you throws your arm, and everything's kind of one hit kill for the most part.
It grows back.
Yeah, well, it flies back.
Yeah.
So your arm like flies back like a boomerang and then goes to your body. But if you hit it 4 times, you start throwing your other limbs, which is interesting. So you tap it once, your arm goes out. You tap it 4 times in a row, your arms and your legs go out. But what that means is your body falls to the ground. And if you're on a hill, your body slides down the hill. I don't know if you were able to notice this, but it's a cool little weird nuancy thing that makes platforming tricky, because when you're shooting things and you're jumping, you're going for like an extra part of the level, an extra like star or something, or an extra like power up or pick me up or whatever. If you shoot all your things out, your body can slide right off and you end up in the water. I will say what's nice about if you fall through the bottom of the world, it'll throw you up it'll take half your life, but it'll throw you back up in the air and give you a chance to like jump on a platform again. So it's not instant death and you fall to your death, at least. I mean, but still, this is a tricky game. I did get better at it. At first, I was like super frustrated. I was like, frack, this game's hard.
It's difficult.
Yeah, but I did get better at it. And I remember, like, this is the way games were and should have been of the era. The other thing that can't go unnoticed, we talked about in the first game, but the music in this game is freaking good.
Yeah, it's very interesting, very unique.
The music is, like, ahead of its time. It's, like, kind of a weird, like, not butt rock. I was going to say, like, it's just this weird electronica. It's
it's like you need some light sticks.
Yeah, sure. But it's got a jazzness to it. Also, the time signature is weird. So back in the day, I have a degree in music. So when something tickles my ear, it's because I haven't quite heard of anything I've never heard a soundtrack for a video game of this era like I have for Plok.
Is it fair to say this game gave you a wet willy?
A wet willy?
Yeah, tickled your ear.
Yes, it did. Okay. So who did this? The soundtrack was done. We look this up?
I don't have it here in front of me.
Okay, but they've done a lot of games. A lot of games like Rock and Roll Racing, Terminator 2. There's a bunch, but the guys who did the soundtrack have been notable like composers for the Commodore, for the Amiga. Like, just go on YouTube and listen to the soundtrack, like the beach level. Zach Maynard sent us that specific one, one of the guys from St. Louis in the St. Louis Mo Game Con, which got me kind of like listening to the whole dang thing. So the premise of this, okay, like why is this guy shooting stuff? At the very beginning, evidently Plok, which is his name, really likes flags. Like F-L-A-G-S. He really likes flags. And he went to bed and someone stole his flag. And that was enough to piss him off. And he's real smarmy.
He's on a mission.
He's on a mission
to get his flag.
And it's
back.
only like a couple, there's not a big story. He's just like, whoever's doing this, they're going to hell or something. Like, he'll say the weirdest stuff. Like, is this a kid's game? He's like, this is just Twitter in my nethers. Just like, what? Plok? What did you just say?
Plok is kind of like, he's kind of like that guy in Billy Madison with the list that wears the lipstick.
Oh yeah,
yeah. He's just crossing off names.
You're right. Yeah, he is. He's weird. And something else I noticed while playing
Steve Buscemi or whatever his
Steve
name is.
Buscemi.
Yeah. He's the Steve Buscemi of
Steve Buscemi eyes. You ever see that thing that went around the internet where they would put celebrities and put his eyes on them, and they just look like Jesus. Gotta love Steve Buscemi. What would the world be without him? I like that HBO series he was into, whatever the Atlantic City one, whatever it's called. Anyway, the game to me, Adam, I don't know about you, it felt like it was so weird and so unique. It was trying to not infringe on any copyright whatsoever. Like when I looked at this game and I thought, this is so random. Like even the Plok guy is just eyes with a mask. Nothing. All the enemies look like they're out of Whoville / meth.
Yeah, it's like
at
it's like a
extreme.
cracked out Picasso.
Yeah, it's
made all the characters.
It's
Yeah.
super bizarre, and it felt like who signed off on this? It felt like one guy made this game. Like you know how a team makes a game. They're like, oh, maybe we should do that. Maybe we should make this a little more PC. Maybe his sidekick should be like a puppy, and and also well rounded and cover all the ethnic class and all. No, this just felt like it was made by one random guy who just like, yeah, let's do this. Let's make the first boss basically lips with legs. Then that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's two guys that look like those little teeth clattering things with legs that are jumping around, throwing their nail clippings at you. So they're basically like biting nails. And then the worst nightmare ever is like, it's like, that's it. It felt like they are trying to make a game that nobody's ever thought of. It's like taking all the stuff from your fridge and making a sandwich, but not using anything you traditionally make a sandwich with.
That's right. Or it's like a ground meat of a video game.
Yeah.
It's like the hot dog of video games.
Yeah.
So I did find the composer finally. Tim Fallon and Jeff Fallon are
The Fallon
composers.
brothers, Follin. Yeah, they make some pretty unique, crazy stuff. But really, yeah, just a really weird game. Were you a fan of it, Adam?
Yeah, I mean, I like it. I grew up. So one of my gaming platforms when I was a kid was a 286 computer, like PC, and this thing ran like DOS, and actually had Emerson Quick Menu. Did not have Windows on it.
Oh,
So
okay.
it had like this other operating system only on Emerson computers.
Jeez.
But one of the first platforms aside from like Mario that I ever played was a game called Commander Keen,
You've talked about this
which
before.
is kind of a famous platformer from computers back in the day. It and the original Duke Nukem actually were probably a couple of my first two platformers. But this really reminded me a lot of like the Commander Keen kind of thing. It was just different. It was a lot different than other console platformers at the time. I mean, I'm a fan of it. It's good. It's worth playing and that sort of thing. It is not of the same tier as Donkey Kong Country 1 or 2 or Mario World or a couple of others. But it's a good serviceable platformer.
Yeah.
It actually would have been very at home on the NES, I think, just from the way that it plays and everything. Obviously, on the Super Nintendo, it's got a lot better sound and better visuals and that sort of thing. But it plays like MC Kids did on the NES.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's more difficult. I do like that the world can kind of open up. You can go north and south.
Yeah, and it does have a map, like an overworld map.
It does, and the levels change. I got not super far into it, but I definitely played a few hours of it. And when I started out being like, it's weird, I don't like it, I kept dying. But then I did get better at it, and I kind of like that because otherwise I'd be breezing through the thing. But anyway, how much did we check and see how much this goes for? I think
it goes for about $15 loose card.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah,
that's pretty good. Yeah. I kind of thought it was going for more, but I think it's a very good game. I never heard of it. Obviously, hopefully our listeners haven't, but check it out if you find it. Plok. I don't know if I've seen it in the wild even, but maybe I have, and I just didn't know what I was looking at.
I'm sure I've come across it a time or two, but yeah, I'm always a fan of anything named after an onomatopoeia.
Yeah,
it is an onomatopoeia.
Yeah, it was funny. I was playing this even last night, and my wife looked at the game, and she just thought it was super weird. She's like, "What is this called?" And I said, "Plok," and her face was like, of course it is, because it just looked weird. And she's used to like me playing Mario and stuff, and she's like, I was like, "It's a good game, honey." She's like, "Yeah, I know. It's just it's super weird."
It's called Plok.
Yeah, what does that mean?
Yeah,
like she's
you're
like,
a dork.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of what she was saying with her eyes. But anyway, so we recommend it.
Yeah,
it seems
good.
cheap.
Yeah.
$15. You find it even for cheaper.
It's a good $15 game.
Oh yeah, definitely. So why don't we get to the back of the box, huh?
Sure, go for it.
I'll go ahead and do Plok, and you can do Android Assault. Back of the box is just basically we read the back of the box like we're back at Blockbuster, your favorite rental store, and we see if this, the fun that can be had from it is just to kind of see how well this represents the game. So here's me, 10 years old, turning around Plok. Hey, you, over there, it's me, Plok. and he doesn't talk in the game, or he does a little bit. What do you mean? Wadya? Waddya. I need to put that. God, Wadya.
Wadya.
What do you mean? You don't know who I am? That's pretty funny. Hey, you over here. It's Plok. What do you mean you don't know who I am? Yeah, we don't know who you are because you're some weird, obscure SNES platformer that no one played. Here in the island of Acrylic, that's funny, in the magic, archipelago? Archipelago?
Yeah, archipelago.
What is that? It's been
I
a
think
while.
it's
Isn't that
honestly,
kind of like...
it's a geographic formation.
It
It's
is.
like a peninsula,
But it's
not.
Oh, an archipelago, is that maybe like the islands, like the Key West, where it's
Yeah,
a bunch of like
it's
little
like
islands?
I think it's like a chain of islands or something, or it's an island off of a peninsula. I can't remember.
It's been a while
something
since
like that.
Adam's mom has written in.
Yes, Mom, look up archipelago and let me know what it means.
Yeah, or anybody. Anytime you guys don't feel bad, like, write us in. If we say something stupid that we don't know, call us out on it. We love to inform our listeners what the heck an archipelago
Yeah,
is.
and if you don't, we may go the rest of our lives not knowing what archipelago means.
And we might as well just walk off a bridge.
And that's a really big word for the back of a Super Nintendo
I know. I
game.
kind of like saying it now that I'm saying it right. In the magic archipelago of Polyesta, my flags are all over the place. Yeah, he loves putting flags down. He's like a narcissistic. Anyway, here
He's European. You just go to a new place, put in a flag, and it's yours.
Yep. All right. Here they call me Top Banana, Head Honcho, Numero Uno, Big Cheese. The king. Dude, this guy's got some tood. At least some of them call me that. Would you believe there's still a few stubborn holdouts who refuse to recognize my supreme authority? What are we reading? The back of the box or CNN? But now they've gone too far. They've stolen my favorite flag. I know what you're thinking. Do you, Plok? Do you know what I'm thinking? I know what you're thinking. Who would do such a despicable thing? I'll tell you who. The nastiest, foulest, and lonesome critters in all of Polyesa. Fleas. That's right. You kill fleas. I thought they were frogs. So the fleas in this game look like frogs. First few levels, I thought they were frogs until I called them fleas. I'll bet that rotten flea queen is behind it all. In fact, she probably teamed up with the Sprups, Rockefeller, Walmart, Spider. Man, he's just throwing freaking alphabet soup at me. And every other troublemaker around here. Well, they're really in for it now, besides my amazing, stupendous ability to fire my arms and legs at will. I've got a nifty jetpack, off-road truck. I didn't get to any of this stuff.
Yeah, I didn't get to the off-road truck.
I didn't get a nifty jetpack, off-road truck, copter. I got to where he was like Yosemite Sam and he had a shotgun. That part was cool. Copter and super secret vehicle. By golly, we'll show him who's boss. Come on already. Let's go get him. Hey, this is the third game that ends with "Let's go get him" that we've read at the back of the box.
Very common phrase, I guess.
Yeah, it's kind of like at the end, it's like, oh my gosh, okay, let's get these kids excited. Yeah. Of course, they wouldn't read these 4 paragraphs I just read. I think it's interesting. It gives us a good attitude representation of Mr. Plok. It also shows I didn't get far enough in the game to see this off-road truck and copter and all this other cool stuff.
It's probably in the credits.
Yeah, but like looking at it, there's a lot of pink, oranges, yellows in this game. Like if you were just to see screenshots,
it looks like a Nickelodeon show.
You would write this thing off, but this thing's awesome.
All right,
go ahead.
So let's go with Android Assault. And I didn't actually mention this earlier, but the entire title of this game is Android Assault: The Revenge of Barry Arm.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah,
so it had to get extra nerdy.
It did have to get very nerdy. So it says, launched by the alien planet Zeus, an armada of androids has crushed the Earth's conventional space fleet.
Pew, pew.
Desperate and defeated, the United Nations of Earth has no choice but to counterattack with its own living, fighting machine, Barry Arm. So this is basically the plot of Pacific Rim.
Nice.
So you heard it here first.
Guillermo
Pacific
del Toro.
Rim is plagiarism on Android Assault.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I like that movie. Did you like Pacific Rim?
I loved it.
In 3D, okay, so we have a 3D setup
Yeah.
with our 3D theater projector or whatever, and we rarely break it out. But freaking Pacific Rim in 3D.
So here was what I love about Pacific Rim. So I went and watched it with my wife, and it's just a big dumb summer movie kind
Was
of
she
thing.
like hating it?
Yeah, oh, she hated it so much. But we're in the movie, and I'm just like,
I want to
grinning.
watch it right now. I'm
Yeah,
so
I know
excited
exactly.
about it.
Every time it's on TV or anything, I can't not watch Pacific Rim.
It's kind of like working out. I start feeling like, yeah, I could do that. I can hop in here and get my mind melded with a machine and freaking destroy crap in the ocean.
Yeah, I have to watch it every time it's on. But anyway, we're watching the movie, and like a third or half the way into it or whatever, I'm just grinning from ear to ear, like a giant doofus child, because I'm really enjoying it. And I look over at my wife, and she just has this frown on her face. She looks like she's at a funeral, and she leans over to me and she goes, "Are you enjoying this?" And I said, "Yeah." And she goes, "How can you enjoy this?" And her distaste of it made me love it even more. Yeah. So I was like, "Oh, it's my thing."
Yeah.
And I love it that you hate it.
I wish they would have made a video. They came out with a download only video game, and I heard it wasn't that good.
It would have made a great video game.
Yeah.
But
Can you imagine a Super Nintendo version game of this, or like freaking anything?
Yeah. No, but Pacific Rim, Android Assault, they're basically the same.
They finally greenlit a sequel, but okay, go ahead.
Okay, so now I'll read the little captions. Here we go. Upgrade weapons to get the awesome firepower of the Thundercracker, Burning Wave, and Chase Cannon. So that's the name of the.
Nice. Those sound like illegal Chinese fireworks.
They really do. Yeah, these are the kind of fireworks you could buy in the 70s until everyone lost their thumbs.
Yeah.
And then it says another boss fight.
A whole generation of people who can't hold a beer.
Explosions are made even more real with arcade-style graphics and CD quality sound.
I miss that. CD quality.
Yeah, I know. Where did that stuff go? And it says, "Duck, or you'll be just another shrimp on the Barbie." You had to get a little Crocodile Dundee-ish.
Yeah, is it set in Australia? That's weird.
And check out weird futuristic moonscapes with huge butt-kicking bosses at every level.
They said butt.
Yeah, they did. They
butt
pulled
loving.
out the big guns. I bet Nintendo wouldn't have said butt.
No, they wouldn't have. Heine, rear, gluteus minimus. Is there a minimus or just the maximus?
No, there's a minimus.
Is it just hidden?
Yeah, it's just hidden. Smaller.
Gotcha. Or Caucasians. That's all we got. Caucasian male.
Especially as we get older.
I've got 1.5 gluteus minimums. Anyway, so yeah, that was the back of the box. I think both represented the game well. Those weren't the worst ones that we've ever had. What that dragon one?
Dragon Spirit, yeah.
Dragon Spirit.
That one's just bad.
If you want to put your kid to sleep, read the back of Dragon Spirit.
Yeah, you
for
won't
the
make it 3
NES.
sentences.
Yeah.
You might put yourself to sleep.
Yeah, if you ever have to get in front of people and speak and want to have them walk out slowly, they won't even throw anything at you because they'll just be too bored. They'll just walk away. Read Dragon Spirit to them from the back of the NES box. But anyway, yeah, so those are great picks. So this is the part where we have gotten a few suggestions from our listeners for our next video game book club. So while Adam's getting that together, I will tell you what I decided. It is now my turn, and we're on the Sega CD. I went ahead and made my pick, and I did go a little FMV-ish because we got to have some FMV in this Sega CD, and it happens to be a game both Adam and I own, so that's a plus. And that is Double Switch for the Sega CD will be the video game dad pick for our video game book club this next week. So Double Switch came out around the time of Night Trap, and Night Trap just came out on the limited run. Everybody went crazy for that. People cussed when they didn't get it.
Yep, but it is not the only FMV game made in the era.
Yeah, no, it's not.
There are plenty of others.
Yes, there's tons of them, but this one has Corey. What's the guy? The '80s guy from
Corey Feldman.
Corey Feldman is in this.
Oh, he is.
Yeah, if you look at the back of the box, he's like right on the.
You couldn't make a movie without Corey Feldman for a few years.
And is it? What's the other Corey?
Corey Haim.
Which one? Which one's still alive?
Haim.
Okay, so it is Feldman.
I don't remember.
No, you were right the first time. It's
Yeah.
Corey Feldman is in this. But yeah, I've heard this one's really good for one of those.
Sure.
Yeah, so I'm excited to pick that. So Double Switch will be the video game dad pick by me. And moving on to our listener picks, let's talk about some of our suggestions we had.
Sure. So we had a suggestion from Brian, who's been a helpful source of feedback and things on the episode. So we thank Brian for that. We've also met him at actually at BitCon and Missouri GameCon. Nice guy. And he nominated Nemo for the NES.
Cool.
Which is a Capcom game. Talks a little bit about it. Good music. It's kind of a fusion of. It's based on an old comic strip, but has elements of both like Japanese, Asian, and American kind of mythology and that sort of thing to it.
Nice.
And recommends it. Said it's kind of Mega Man-ish which
Okay.
I'm always up for a Mega Man-ish kind of game. So,
Yeah.
so that one's going to get thrown in. Joshua, who actually chose Plok, he
And you can do that if you get picked. You can go ahead if you got picked. Sure, send in another one. Just don't do 2 at a time. But go ahead. He ended up saying since he already got Plok picked.
yeah. So he gave us a suggestion for Hot Wheels Turbo Racing for the PS1.
And I like that because it's a totally weird pick. We haven't had a PS1 game, I don't think, suggested, or like a racing game.
Yeah, yeah. And so this is both.
Oh, I lied. We've got a racing game in the thing for Super Nintendo.
Yeah, yeah, but Hot Wheels, my kid will be into that, so
Yeah, and you
I
said
can
it's
I
good.
can get some participation for my kiddo on that one as well. So he also gave us a suggestion for our handheld minute name, which we'll get to in a little bit. Porta Player Picks.
Oh, okay. Porta Player Picks.
Porta
I like
player.
that. We'll
like
have
kind
to-
of like porta potty, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, I get it. Porta potty. Porta player pick. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard to say, man. It's a little onomatopoeia yourself.
And then Billy, a fellow that we met at Missouri Game Con, he said that he's been binging the episodes after meeting us at the con, sends his wishes to Shane and his daughter. He sends his pick Low G Man for the NES. Says that he thinks it's great, but nobody else seems to talk about it.
Cool.
And as an aside, Billy has a YouTube channel called Hey Dad Let's Play, where he plays games with his kids.
Oh, great.
So he's kind of doing the same thing we are.
Awesome. Yeah, check it out. Oh, is this the guy we met that came later? He had his 2 kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, and I saw you had a little YouTube video. Yeah, that's
very,
good.
very nice fella, and I watched some of his videos too.
Yeah,
so.
wholesome guy.
Yeah.
I like him. He's right in line with what we're trying to do. So great. Okay, I've got a couple. Did you have any more?
Nope, that's it for me.
So I got a couple. Mine I have to get together. We had a tweet from Daniel Martinez, also known as Electric Maestro 5. Great. He said, all right, I feel that the Lone Ranger for NES is deserving of more attention. It's in vein of ambitious likes with the previous Konami title, The Adventures of Billy Bayou, or Bayou Billy, sorry. The Lone Ranger is an open world, or at least open world as one could get for that system, action adventure game by Konami and features top-down, side-scrolling, first-person. You said it even uses a light gun?
I think so. Yeah,
Okay.
if it's what I'm thinking of. Yeah.
Okay.
I
Lone
always
Ranger.
get Lone Ranger and Cowboy Kid confused with each other.
Okay. Well, anyway, this one sounds interesting. It's definitely well done considering how games based on media franchises tend to go, but appears to have gone criminally overlooked.
Criminally.
I think it's worth trying out at least once. Well, at least once. We're gonna put it in our pool and check it out. That sounds like a great pick. So that is Daniel Martinez giving us the Lone Ranger for the NES. We got a lot of NES, but you know the NES got a crap ton of
That's
titles.
okay. We got a lot of NES.
Yeah, and I feel like I've watched the little top 10 and the this and the that, and I haven't heard of anybody talk about Lone Ranger. So hopefully it's a winner. We have another one. This is another like portable suggestion. That was also by William Craddock. Maybe a suggestion for a handheld minute portable propaganda.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I like that portable propaganda. So we'll put that in the pool. We'll remind you when we talk about our handheld minute. Sorry if we're kind of out of order. Our handheld minute is a segment we're letting our listeners give a suggestion for the name, and then we're going to pick, actually next episode 20, we're going to pick the name of our segment that you guys have put in our pool, and hopefully we can have Shane kind of decide with us. So that's why you're hearing these different suggestions, and we'll give you shout-outs if we end up picking your suggestions. So Portable Propaganda by William. And then we also have another one on the old Instagram. This is a guy, or maybe a lady. No, it's a guy. Zelda's the princess. His name is David. He said, how about an NES game called Kickle Cubicle? I used to go to my grandmother's house after school, and it was her favorite game. I don't know many people my age, he's now 38, who had a gaming grandma. But he loved it. It's a fun and quirky little puzzle game. But anyway, it's called Kickle Cubicle for the NES. And that is, did you put that in there?
I did. It's in the randomizer.
By David. So that is in the randomizer with everything else. We've already picked the video game Dad pick, which was a double switch for the Sega CD. And now we will go on to our randomizer, which has a good amount of games in there, like 18, 20?
20-ish.
Yeah, great. All right. So we will go through the randomizer, and we have, all right, Sunset Riders by Kyle for the Super Nintendo.
I'm kind of excited about this one.
Yeah, I mean, sure.
I love Sunset Riders. It's a good game.
It's a great game. You know, if you're a big fan of the old retro stuff, you probably heard of this. This is one that's not a big surprise. It's a great game. It's not in the top 15. You walk down the street, interview a lady. Have you heard of Sunset? No. So it is a very popular gem, so to speak, but it is definitely not in the top 15%. So a wonderful pick for a video game book club. Why are you excited about it, Adam?
Because I recently got the soundtrack on vinyl.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
You hipster.
I'm
clothing.
I'm a video game hipster in dad clothing. That's true.
I can't talk because I got a few video game vinyls
Yeah,
too.
after you get tired of collecting video games, you start collecting other weirder things, one of which is soundtracks on vinyl of video games.
So you don't know this. You've gotten into the vinyl more recently.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I'm more of an OG. I got into it a good 4 years ago.
You're the OG.
So
I'm just the follower.
Yeah, no. I collected back when I was collecting video game vinyl 4 years ago, not a long time ago. There was nothing out there. There was like 5 or 6
they're releasing
games.
a lot now.
Yeah, there was like Red Faction. There would be random like promotional things. There were probably like 10 or 12 video game vinyls. Now there's hundreds. You go on eBay, and any game that you want. You can basically get it on vinyl. I have probably like 10 or 12. One of my favorites, Street Fighter 2. Oh, man.
Yeah, it's probably one of my
If I can make that
favorite
our
soundtracks.
music, you know, we try to be, we say that and we just had Mousetrap. But thank you, sponsor Milton Bradley. We should tweet at them, see what they say. They'll probably cease and desist. Mousetrap is not for you to use. It's the craziest trap you'll ever see.
Yeah, but
Right down the chute.
video game soundtracks on vinyl, they're great.
Yeah, they're really good.
Yeah, and there's a lot of the old Sega games. There's a bunch of those you can get the vinyls for.
Yeah, I have Shenmue. I also got a recent one. I actually got 2 vinyls just not too long ago. I got the Star Wars one with the holographic thing. Did you see that?
I've seen it. Yeah, I don't own it.
Yeah, I just got it, so I'll send you a video of it. But basically, it's got this like light diffused thing where it has an etching that looks like a hologram raised up. It's some cool weird little trick thing. But that's the new soundtrack to the not the first Star Wars movie that I need your help with again, The Force Awakens.
Yeah.
I got the Blood Dragon. No. What is it? It's
it's the second one.
yeah, Trials Blood Dragon.
Trials. Yeah, that's it.
It's a Trials game, Blood Dragon, and it's on a hot pink vinyl. It's totally like 80s synth. Mm-hmm. You know, some words are really hard to say on this radio format. We have like synth. Mm-hmm. Anyway, that is a really freaking good soundtrack. I freaking love it. You should get it, and it's cheap. Yeah. It's like $20, which as far as video game vinyls go.
Yeah, I got the Battletoads vinyl here recently.
Nice.
And I actually picked it up relatively cheap because that one goes for a lot of money.
Yeah.
We
should Instagram some of our vinyl. They'll eat that up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Sunset Riders vinyl. That thing's just super awesome. I love it. And I not too long ago got Castlevania 1, 2, and 3, and
So you're
Super Castlevania.
Nice.
So I've got
those are all mine. Yeah, you're getting a nice
all the
collection.
Castlevania vinyls.
You get one of those IKEA boxes to stack them all in or whatever, and have them flip through. Yeah, very cool. All right, so that is going to be our picks for our next episode 20's Video Game Book Club, the dad pick by myself for the Sega CD Double Switch, and our listener pick...
Sunset Riders on the Super Nintendo.
All right, excited to play this one. It's an expensive card. How much?
It's like 50-ish, I think.
No.
50, $60. Yeah.
That's it?
Yeah, it's not as crazy as what you think.
I get it confused with our other pick we had that's like in the same vein.
Wild Guns.
Wild Guns is like
$200.
Okay, good. Because I saw one of those in the store recently. I was like,
which is crazy because I have Wild Guns actually, and I don't have Sunset Riders. Sunset Riders is the better of those games.
Yeah, good.
Wild Guns is good, but Sunset Riders is better.
Good. I'm excited to play it. And it also had an arcade of that, so I'm going to try to play the arcade port as well. But that is our Video Game Book Club picks. All right, so moving on, I wanted to have Adam talk a little bit about Sega CD. We did this for the TurboGrafx because most people aren't as schooled in these gaming systems as some of the more popular ones. But give us a little overview. Again, this is not thorough. We might save that for another episode. Give us a little overview, Adam, of this peripheral, basically, known as the Sega CD.
So the Sega CD, a lot of people incorrectly think that it's the first CD attachment.
No,
that
it's
came
not.
out. No, the PC Engine had the first CD attachment of the first CD home console, basically.
What about Amiga CD?
I'm not sure. Amiga doesn't count. That's Europe.
I was gonna say, okay. All right,
well,
fair
I
enough.
actually don't flame me. It might.
Jaguar CD? Where was
Definitely before the Jaguar CD. I think the TurboGrafx for sure is the first one. Who was second? I'm not really
It
sure.
has to be because they're all broken worth crap.
Yeah,
because,
Sega
like,
CD widely gets credited as being the second, and oftentimes incorrectly attributed as the first. Where Amiga fits into that, I'm honestly not really sure.
great. So when you're at a party, totally let that out, especially people you don't know.
Yeah, the girls will think you're awesome.
Yeah.
if you can spit that knowledge.
If you hear somebody say, "Oh, what's the first CD?" and you go up there and you correct your glasses,
yeah, push your glasses up to up your
and
nose.
you say, "Well, actually." It's like,
Actually, the Sega CD is the second.
yeah, you'll be so much fun at parties.
And you'll have more friends than you can count.
Yep, on one hand. Go ahead, Adam.
So this came out in Japan. It's actually surprising how early this did come out. 12/12, so December 12th of 1991 is when this was released in Japan.
That's a while ago.
That's a while ago. And then it came out in North America on October 15th of 92.
Yeah, I kind of remember when it came out, but it was. I mean, it's really funny. The systems that didn't go well were systems that like I didn't remember people talking about. Very
Yeah,
much.
I actually remember a fair number of people talking about Sega CD, and I remember at school or whatever, you had your Sega kids, you had your Super Nintendo kids, and then you kind of had this other group of Sega kids who were like the Alpha Sega kids, and they're the ones that had the Sega CD.
And that FMV was awesome.
Oh yeah, and it was all about FMV. I remember kids talking about Night Trap, and and of course this was during the ad campaigns of Sega does what Nintendo don't.
Yeah.
and so there was this whole, this is the future, that's CD quality.
When everybody
there
was-
there was a fair amount of hype.
Everybody wanted realistic.
Yes.
Realistic. And people didn't understand that realistic was, what's more real than video? And it is. It's like, as a kid, you don't think graphics, and obviously an FMV isn't really count as a graphic. But you would think like, this looks real compared to, just say, Plok. It's like, obviously the graphics in this are better, but we were just so stupid kids that were ignorant and didn't realize that we're just basically a VCR game.
So at the time, that was, they realized, or developers and people realized, hey, you can actually do video playback on these, and so a lot of games capitalized on that. But the Sega CD, for those that don't know, was an attachment. It was not a standalone system. It was something you stuck onto the side of your Genesis.
Yep.
And so you had to have a Genesis.
And depending on which model, you're going to get to that.
I'll get to that. But you had to have a Genesis, and so you at baseline already had to have a console, and then you also had to have $299 to buy the attachment, so another $300.
That's a lot. And then
So it was like $550 or whatever
in today's money.
back in back in 91, which was like $900 or something. So this thing was not cheap. I mean, you could basically go buy a Neo Geo for what this thing cost, to put together. So you're already a little bit limited just because the barrier of admission is pretty high as far as people having the amount of money that it needs to get this thing. But they did end up being able to sell 2.2 million of the little guys.
That's a lot.
And
was that total across all the models?
I think that's across the whole platform.
Okay.
Yeah. 2.2 million. It was developed in concert with JVC, the electronics company, and it's kind of weird. If you read about the Sega CD's development, it's odd, and there's a lot of things written about Sega of Japan and Sega of America and how the relationship actually between the two factions of Sega it was not a healthy relationship. Sounds like Japan did a lot of things without really consulting or letting North America know about it.
And they come home drunk.
Yeah, well,
You said it was an unhealthy relationship. I'm thinking like,
yeah. It was. I mean, it's part of the reason they're not in the hardware market anymore. Probably.
oh man, they don't even talk anymore, huh?
Yeah, but
When you see them at a family get together,
yeah,
people whisper.
but by all accounts, like the Sega CD got developed in Japan. Japan didn't really tell North America anything until it was like They wouldn't even give them like demo units or development kits or anything until it was like
Jeez.
near time to release it. And so then all the software was kind of rushed. And so there was some discombobulation, it seems, around the launch just in general. But there are several different versions of the Sega CD hardware. So people always think of like, oh, Sega CD, it's a single system. And it is kind of, it's a single format. But there's a Model 1 Sega CD that goes with the Model 1 Genesis.
Yes.
And it's the layered, it's the stack of Genesis. So you had your Model 1 Genesis, and then underneath it you had a CD unit with a tray that would spit out the front of it.
Oh, that was Model 1.
That's the Model 1 Sega CD.
I thought that was, okay, got it.
And that's also the harder one to find, the one that's worth more money, and the one that's usually broken if you do find it.
Gotcha.
Fortunately, I actually have a working one, and I actually had 2 working ones, but Shane has my other one now.
Awesome.
So it's at his place. I can't even remember what I traded him for it, but
Yeah.
But yeah, so I actually had 2 of those at one point, but that's the Model 1. And the Model 1, I won't even go into how to hook it up. It's you could tell it was not intended to be an add-on when the Model 1
they
Genesis
each got
was
their
made.
own power.
Yeah,
supply.
you even have to have an extra cord plugging in the headphone jack to the back of the thing to be able to get stereo sound. It's really weird the way it hooks up. But then you had the Model 2 Genesis, the redesign, and you also had a Model 2 Sega CD.
Good to know because, okay, the reason I'll stop you right real quick is I just got a Sega CD, just coincidence, given to me, luckily, by a family member who knows I do the podcast, and he's kind of into video games, more into computer games, and he's like, oh, I have a Sega CD if you just want it. I was like, yeah, I'll give you something. He's like, no, just take it. It's just, I haven't used it in forever. So I have the Model 2, but I do not have a Model 2 Genesis. So I thought I needed a Model 1.
You can put a Model 1
you can?
Genesis on a Model 2 Sega CD. Yes.
Oh, I didn't know
It
that.
doesn't really fit right. And there's like an adapter plate that has to go with it, and it looks sort of like Frankenstein's bad experiment.
Maybe I have
before
the
original.
adapter plate because I noticed something I wish I had in front of me, but it seems like there's an extra piece to it.
Yeah.
Is that what that's for?
There is for the Model 1, yes.
I see. Okay.
So, and the Model 1 the Model 1 Genesis clearly doesn't look right on the Model 2 Sega CD.
Interesting.
Now, Model 2 Genesis does. You're like, oh, that's the 2 pieces that should go together.
And it's like a side saddle.
Yeah. When they released the Model 2 Sega CD, and it came out like a year and a half later, whatever, it was $229. So it was a bit cheaper, and it also had a pack-in game. But the game that they picked for a pack-in, you would think it would have been Sonic CD.
Yep.
It wasn't. It was Sewer Shark.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, and Sewer Shark is like this weird FMV game that has superimposed sprite graphics. It's like you're flying through this sewer. There's really bad acting.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a good game. Is what
Yeah.
I'm getting at. It's actually a pretty bad game, and it's also a game that demonstrates the worst parts of FMV probably.
Yeah.
But that's what they chose as a pack in with the system. So that's a little bit weird, and I actually have one in the box over there. But that one's new. I hope I don't ever have to open it. But so you had those.
Oh, I see. You have a news. I see it over
Yeah,
there.
I have a new Sega CD right there in that box.
And that's never been opened?
That's never been played.
Jesus.
No, that was never been hooked up.
I see it there. It's behind your little Zelda thing. That's really cool.
Yeah, I happened across that in Tulsa, Oklahoma, actually.
Man, how do you not open that thing?
I just look at it.
I guess so.
It'll get open one of these days.
Yeah, when your son gets he'll want to. Yeah, I feel like that's like I have some weird stuff that I have sealed, and I think maybe when my kid gets old enough, we can kind of like, hey,
the
like
weird thing
Indiana
about that,
Jones.
The box has been opened, but if you get into the bags and everything that everything's in are still sealed. On
I
the
see.
Inside. It's never been out of the package.
Yeah, there's something cool about that.
But anywho, so there's the Model 1 Sega CD, there's the Model 2 Sega CD, but then there's all these spin-offs. So, like I said, JVC helped develop it. Well, Sega actually licensed the Genesis hardware and the Sega CD hardware to JVC, and JVC made the JVC XI, and that's the letter X, apostrophe I-E-Y-E,
Yeah,
the XI.
which I like the look of that thing.
And it's generally known as the best version of the Sega CD is the JVC XI. It has its own brand of controllers. It doesn't say Sega on it. It actually just has the JVC logo. And I have an XI, and that's what I play for my Sega CD.
Yeah, I
is
was
the
I was
XI.
playing on it earlier when we were doing our book club pick. It's cool looking. Yeah.
And it has component outs. It's supposed to be outputting the best video of all the versions. And it's also the most reliable, I think. But if you want to see the XI, if you go to Norm, the Gaming Historian's YouTube channel, and look up his XI video, that's my XI that's in his video.
Of course, most of his stuff is ours.
Well, not most, but some of it is. But that's my XI in that video.
Cool.
And then another version is the Sega CDX. which is this little thing that looks like a Walkman. And it's a Sega CD and a Genesis.
Yeah,
and I forgot to mention that the XI has a Genesis in it too, so it's the full thing.
Okay,
it's a Genesis and Sega CD, but the CDX is a sort of a miniaturized version, and the CDX actually is very expensive. They're usually around about $300 if you can find one.
but that one's not as reliable.
It's very unreliable.
Yes,
the lasers in it go bad.
Yep.
And I actually have one of those too.
Do you feel like it's because it's so small that was a big problem? Because
I
you remember
think
the
maybe it's
early
where they're getting
Walkmans.
bumped.
Do you
Yeah.
remember the early Walkmans? Now, all of a sudden, back in like '98, they got good at it. But back in like '95, a CD player, if you just breathed on it, it would skip.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden, they came up with their, what is it called? The skippable technology.
It would have like a memory. It would build a
ESP,
memory.
that's right. Yeah. ESP or whatever. And I remember I could take my Walkman and shake it up and down. I used to work out. Can you imagine? You know what I want to do? I want to go to a gym and have a CD player. I still have my Walkman. I've got a gold Walkman. That
Your stretchy socks that go up to your knees.
well, like I kind of just want to rock a CD player because it also they sound better than MP3. They do. They sound better than MP3s. Not better than this podcast. I'm just kidding. We should burn our podcast on a CD and make a limited edition.
We should put it on 8-track.
Oh,
Yeah. Anywho, so there's the CDX, which
Yeah.
is the little version, and the unreliable version. I actually picked one of those up about a year ago or so. That I got pretty cheap, and then there's the version I don't have and probably never will, and that is the Laser Active.
Oh yeah.
Which is a Pioneer high-end Laserdisc player that you could actually buy a little pack that slides into it.
Yeah.
A little add-on. So it was like a $900 Laserdisc player. Then you had to spend another $300 or something for this little pack that slid into it to play Sega CD
Yeah,
games.
that guy Joe, he's done a few of the Metal Jesus videos. He's been on
He's
there
got like
too.
2 of them, I think.
Crazy Joe. Yeah, he has a whole video about that. So check that out if you want to find it. But yeah, he's got that.
Yeah. So that's the Laser Active.
Nice.
That's all the versions of the Sega CD. Now the JVC XI, just so that I mention it too, the overseas version of the XI, there's actually 2, and they're called the Wonder Mega. But it's the same thing as near as I could tell, or as near as I understand. But
Cool.
The XI and Wonder Mega, they look a little bit different on the outside, but I think they're basically the same
There's
thing.
a lot of spin-offs. I'm glossing out. My eyes are...
Yeah, I know. Sorry, I don't.
No,
mean to-
no. I'm just like... I didn't realize there were so many.
Yeah,
of
so
these.
Sega CD, like if you want to have a real complete Sega CD collection, there's like a lot of hardware you have to have.
Yeah, Sega CD is the girl that got around town.
Yeah.
It's been...
There's all kinds of mutated versions.
Yeah,
of it.
by the time you got to this last version, you couldn't even recognize her
Yeah,
anymore.
it doesn't look anything like.
No, she's not the girl next door.
Yeah, and she weighs 400 pounds. Yeah.
about a deuce and a
Yeah,
half.
a Laser Active is like the biggest video game console ever made. The thing is enormous.
I will say I got something about Mary on UMD this week. I was really excited about that. Oh, I love that movie.
But that's kind of an overview of the Sega CD, and of course the games, the library of games. There's around 200 of them or so. But it's weird. There's really good sprite-based games, kind of like Android Assault.
Yeah.
A lot of people, Sonic CD is kind of a polarizing game. Some people love it, some people hate it. It's
don't know.
my favorite Sonic game actually from the era. I really like it.
Yeah, and it's a great sidekick to Mania. We talked Mania up the last episode, which we really like, and hopefully you've gotten a chance to play it. But Sonic Mania feels like a sequel to Sonic CD. Everybody says, oh, it's Sonic 4. I feel like Sonic Mania is basically Sonic CD 2.
Yeah, I do too.
And I love how Sonic CD has the future and past part. I mean, really, like if you look at the two, Sonic Mania is amazing. Yeah, everybody's going crazy over it. But what Sonic Mania does to Sonic now, I think Sonic CD did it better already. Like for the time it came out and what it did and how good it was. If you're all of a sudden playing Sonic Mania and you haven't played Sonic CD before, go back and play that, and then
Sonic
just have
CD is great.
Have your jaw drop because that game's 25 years old, right?
Yeah. Sonic CD is great, and there's some shooters on it. There's strategy games. I mean, there's most of all the typical genres are represented at least in part.
Yeah,
on the thing.
Sports.
Sports. There are plenty of. You can't find a Sega CD without finding a John Madden or not John Madden. Joe Montana.
So what's interesting? The reason I joked about that is because they use this FMV in the sports games. So a lot of the sports games have like, oh, the quarterback's sacking you, and it's like Mike Dick is yelling at you, but it's all FMV. And so you're just trying to hit the button at the right time. So an FMV sports game, it's just like, sports games get a lot of crap. And yes, the yearly iteration, sure. But when you go back and look at some of these things, it's like, I mean, they're as unique as any other genre of game.
Yeah.
And they're inexpensive. So you throw $3 in the wind for whatever, for a little fun little time.
Yeah, but there's good beat 'em ups on it. I mean,
Yeah.
there's Final Fight. There's, everything that should be there is there. But it always gets the library always gets a bad rap because of the FMV games. I'm in the minority. I actually like the FMV games, not so much because I'm like, wow, that's a movie that changed my life or whatever. But they're definitely very much a product of their time, and they're so bad they're good. It's like they're like watching Mortal Kombat the movie.
Yeah.
It's just horrible, but for some reason they're just entertaining.
Yeah.
And
I saw that release day in the theater.
Oh, Mortal Kombat the movie?
Yeah.
I did as well.
Did you? Oh, we were in the same theater.
I went and saw it on release day and then had to stop at a Walmart on the way home to get the soundtrack.
Yes, me too. That was my first.
Us and every other kid.
That was one of my first CDs.
Yeah, it was one of mine as well.
Yeah, and it's like. But how does that start out? Dun 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 dun. Yeah. Dun 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 dun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and then it would list off that it's like Sonya, dun, 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 Liu Kang, Johnny Cage,
Yeah.
Scorpion, Sub-Zero. Yeah, that's all it would do is you just
Yeah, but it's so cheesy, and Sega
So
CD's
good.
Sega CD is the same sort of good cheese.
Yep.
That sort of stuff was born
head
out
cheese.
of.
Sorry.
But that's kind of Sega CD, and that's most of what I wanted to say about it. But it's worth a look. I don't know how much, if you're not into such things, how much you would want to spend on one or whatever. But if you do see one at a garage sale or whatever, they're worth a pickup. I mean,
Yeah.
they're always good to have fun, and there's getting fewer and fewer of them that actually work anymore.
Yeah, you don't want it. Basically, the more it gets thrown around, temperature changes, knocked around in a box here and there. That's the thing that'll mess it up. Are they easy to fix? Probably not.
I don't think so. The biggest issue with them, as far as being able to use them now, is they have an internal battery, and for whatever doofus reason, they soldered the battery onto the board.
No.
And so getting a battery update for it's actually very hard to do.
Yeah.
It requires like desoldering the board, taking the battery off, and resoldering a new one.
Yeah.
So it's not like the Saturn or some of the other systems where
Yeah.
you just pop a button battery out and pop a new one in.
Yeah.
It's a lot more complicated than that.
Gotcha.
So that's the hardest thing. And they have a backup battery. I should mention this. There's a memory card that goes in the Sega Genesis slot to save your games. But some games that doesn't work right if the battery isn't set up right. And then the JVC Xi actually has internal memory in it. It's got a memory card built into the hardware.
Oh,
So
interesting.
That's one of the benefits of having it. is you can
Interesting.
actually save your game.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, good. Well, that's the Sega CD in a nutshell. So if you find one, pick it up. Okay, moving on to our handheld minute. One thing I will say, so a byproduct of my wife now having to work a little more this next month is I've gotten to pick up my kiddo from daycare instead of just dropping him off, which is so much better because the daycare workers aren't freaking flabbergasted. They're like, when I drop them off in the morning, you could tell they're like, oh my God, I'm about to take care of like 7 kids and they're all stressed out of this and that. And they want to talk about whatever bottle. And I'm just like, oh my God, I got to get to work. But picking them up is fun because the kid's like super happy when he sees you. And Sebastian is now, I have one kid, one boy. He's 6 months old. Exactly. We're going to get his 6-month pictures this weekend. I'm excited about him. Dress him up in Ninja Turtle crap. I'm so excited. You can hold him and he doesn't fall out of your arms, which is great. He's getting squirmy now, but he's like so much more interactive. Like 6 months is like a good time.
Yeah, it is.
It's
before they become mobile.
yes. So you can put him down. He can't go anywhere. He can only roll from back to front, like he's drunk or something. He can't do. Wait. He can only roll from stomach to back. He can't roll from back to stomach right now because he's a big kid. He's like in the 90s. He's large for his age. But like he's just really cool because he's like super smiley, super happy, and like interactive. He can hold stuff. He's waving. He kind of waves like he's terrible at it. He uses his whole arm. He waves from his shoulder. It's bad form, really it is. But basically his whole arm just kind of spazzes. But he does it on purpose, with purpose.
Yep.
And it's his first thing that he kind of, outside smiling, right, because that's still reactionary, this is something he's realized, and even daycare workers said, we work on it and this and that, we wave to him. But yeah, he gets to the point, he wakes up from a nap and he sees somebody, his first instinct is to like wave, greet them. And it's the cutest dang thing. It makes everybody smile, again, because he waves kind of like an idiot. He his shoulders spasms out. Like he'll hit you right in the face if you don't worry. And I even would I'd wave the same way he would. And I swear I'm going to pull my rotator cuff out. But it's super cute. I mean, it's really fun spending time with him. I know as soon as he gets mobile, I haven't done any of the, putting up gates?
Oh, yeah, you will.
Yeah, I was saying, I told her like September. Isn't it September right now? Shoot. It's September like 7th right now, or 8th. Yeah, so I need to do that this month and put up the gates. You still can't crawl yet, so I'm like, eh. But yeah, eating normal food, it's just really good. Do you remember when Grayson was 6 months?
Oh, yeah. You're transitioning to normal food. The big thing about Grayson at 6 months, and I mentioned this previously on the podcast, is Grayson's adopted. And so, there was a big kind of to-do around his adoption and when we got him and when he was born. And we were there for his birth. So we had him,
awesome.
From day one, pretty much. But there's a big process, and it varies by state. But it was a 6-month process, his adoption was. So he had to, actually, it was a lot longer than that because it was still like a year before he was born that we, were filling out paperwork and going through home studies and jumping through all the hoops and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But
as it should be, this is a human.
Yeah, but, so he's born, and then the process where we were to take 6 months to get finalized.
Wow.
So he actually literally has to turn 6 months old in order for us to be able to go to court and get the rubber stamp of approval from the judge and finalize the adoption.
So that has to be kind of also a little bit of like month 4, a kind of a weird feeling, right?
Yeah, it's a little weird because
you're 2 months away from it being official, yet it's been official since day one.
Sort of, and we weren't really worried because fortunately our birth mother and everything had worked out really, really well. And but you're also in a period of risk, quote unquote, during that time because the adoption's not finalized, so it can be contested, and
I don't think that's the way in this state. Was that Oklahoma?
No, this was Minnesota at the time.
Minnesota,
but there's a certain point there before the adoption's finalized where if something were to come up or things change, legally things aren't bound or aren't binding up to that point. So and it's weird to think that you've been taking care of this baby for 6 months.
Exactly, that's what I was saying.
And then there's this, albeit tiny outside possibility that something could happen. And we weren't in a situation where we were really acutely aware and worried about that.
Good.
But we were also moving at the time, and you can't move out of state until the adoption's finalized.
Wow.
You can't go across state lines. I mean, you can't even go across state lines to buy groceries with the child, until the adoption is finalized. So when he turned 6 months, the big deal for us was just getting everything legal.
Yeah.
Which was a big deal. And so I'll always remember the day that we went down to the courthouse and, sat in front of the judge and do the whole thing. And then finally it's codified legally and everything's sort of done. So 6 months was a big milestone for us as a family during that whole ordeal. And it was kind of funny because we and I guess it might be a commentary on society too, but when he was born, we did not get him a Social Security number.
Oh.
So they said, don't get him a Social Security number. Don't register him for a Social Security number because when the adoption's finalized, it's just a whole nother set of paperwork and a whole nother set of things that you'll have to do.
I thought you kind of had to have a Social Security number.
Well, I'm getting to that.
Aha, okay.
But, so that's kind of what we were told when he was born. So after we got the adoption finalized, we take all his paperwork down to the Social Security office.
Oh, gosh.
And I'm sitting there all day, waiting on the Social Security office. And I walk up to the door and I'm like, so I need to get my kid a Social Security number so that we can get him.
And she saw this 6-month-old and had a heart attack.
Yeah. She's like, how old is he? And I'm like, 6 months. And they said, well, you can't have a kid 6 months old that has a Social Security number. I'm like, yeah, well, I do. And, and I kind of need that number so that we can, do things that normal people do. And she says, well, I don't know what to do. We never have had somebody just walk in here without a Social Security number.
You gave her an aneurysm.
And they're totally freaked out. So she's talking to a supervisor. And they're like, well, you're going to have to come back. So
They hit a red button and all of a sudden
Yeah.
some chain gates come down.
sort of like, gates come down, guns point at my temples.
Friggin' like
you
Total
know.
Recall. 2 weeks.
Undocumented.
How long you? 2 weeks.
Or what is it in Idiocracy? Unscannable.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it wasn't, I don't mean to make it sound like it was a huge thing. It just took an extra trip to the Social Security office, but we ended up getting
Sure.
his number. But it was sort of funny that, you know, in this day and age that you can't be born and not immediately get a number imprinted on you.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, because that was a big deal for us when we got, and it's funny, like our kids, like your kids probably too, like your numbers way different than yours.
oh yeah. I'm like, wow, there's been a lot of people born between us.
Yeah, mine begins with a 4 or whatever, and
Yeah.
his I forget, but yeah. Should I know it? Should I know my kid's number by heart?
I don't know my kids by
good.
heart yet. I always have to look at it. I know mine and my wife's, my memory, but I don't know his yet until I start filling out school paperwork, I suppose.
Oh, I gotcha.
But yeah, so 6 months was a big deal for us, you know, just for the family. But yeah, you know, from 6 months to a year, they do more and more and more. And Grayson never really did crawl, which was a little strange.
I've heard of that. Yeah.
What he would do is that and this started around 6, 7, 8 months, is he would look at something across the room and he'd go, man, I want that, you know? And so he would turn his body perpendicular to whatever object he wanted.
Inside.
And then he would just roll. He would roll he would just log roll across the room to whatever it was that he wanted and go get it. Like
I've heard of that.
It was just faster to do that. And it's not that he didn't crawl. He did crawl some, but he just figured it was way faster just to throw his head over his shoulder and just roll over to where he was going. So, so he did that, you know, almost up until the time that he walked primarily. And then he just like one day
just stood up.
and he didn't even do that whole, I'm going to stumble around. And so yeah, at about a year, he just like, all right, walking now.
Weird. So he didn't even like have the weird, like
Not really.
drunken wide step.
Not
sumo
really.
wrestler?
No, he would kind of stand up. He'd pull himself up, but he wouldn't attempt to walk. He would just stand there. And then one day he just like turned loose. And he was
strolled on like
he
Saturday
was
Night
He was
Fever.
like, yeah, I got this.
He's like,
you know?
darn. He just walked right through the middle of the freaking. That has to be a
Yeah,
little
it was weird
weird.
because we were kind of worried about it, you know, for a while. Okay, and you kind of get worried about your kid, like, oh, are they doing everything like they ought to be doing? You know,
I know. I'm getting over
and-
that because
yeah.
like he gets milestones early, and then other stuff he stops, and it's just
But
like
that's the thing; they're always ahead in some areas, and they're always a little behind-ish
Yeah.
or on time-ish on others.
it
And he never
totally
has-
is what everybody says. It's
Yeah.
like don't worry about that.
Yeah,
crap.
and he's never really missed a milestone, but he'll get up to the point that he should be doing it, and he'll be like, "Oh, he's not doing that. I hope everything's okay." And then it's like he just does it.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure other people have the same experience, but I always thought that was a little bit funny that he was like, "Oh, I'm not going to like stumble around and this falling stuff's for the birds. I'm
just
stand
gonna
up and
roll,
do it.
stand
I'm
up
just
and
gonna,
do
yeah,
it."
I'm just going to roll around for a while and then I'm going to stand up and walk.
You know, a girl I work with, late girl, I guess we're old now. A lady I work with, she's a girl. Anyway, she has a kid, and she told me two different kids, two girls. Was the talking thing was the same thing. So she had one kid that slowly, and then this other kid was like, like a year and a half, 2, like wasn't talking, like no words whatsoever. And then all of a sudden, full blown sentences. Mm-hmm. Like what? That would be weird because they were getting worried. Like it's not even kind of babble. It was just like not talking at all. And then all of a sudden was saying like 3-4 word sentences. Like every kid is different.
Yeah. So, and you know, obviously there's bell curves and a lot of overlap and all those kinds of things. But yeah, it is kind of neat to watch them grow up because Grayson turns 4 next month. But it's just so weird and kind of wild to watch them because they develop their own personalities pretty early, and then they just start doing stuff. And like you don't have to teach them, like you don't have to teach them imagination, you don't have to teach them how to play.
Yeah,
you don't
that's
have
true.
to. They just start doing it. You know,
Yeah.
they just start. My kid sometimes like when we put him to bed or whatever, he'll kind of lay in bed and he'll have, you know, an action figure in a car or something in the room with him, and if you stand outside of his room, he'll have like a whole, you know, movie going on. There's explosions. There's all this stuff. And we got to go rescue these people, and all these things have to happen. And like, I mean, yeah, we play with him and that kind of thing, but he just kind of comes up with all this stuff on its own.
Yeah.
And it's just sort of neat to watch the wheels sort of turning and them to, you know, develop the ability to be able to sort of create their own narratives
And
for themselves.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
I remember being
Yeah.
that young and thinking about that too. Like imagination, you know, it's always an overused turn of phrase, but like It's so cool because their brains are growing so fast. Of course, a byproduct is their nightmares, the dreams they have, their imagination, the
and they come up
imaginary
with
friend.
Crazy things that get them scared
and so,
that don't make any sense.
You can't really ever like get mad at a kid because literally his brain is growing faster than anything under the sun, and it's to a little immature thing that can't grasp or concept the world. So what happens is this byproduct is they create their own little world in their head. And I remember being young and remembering I was a ninja and fighting ninjas that were invisible in the middle of my park. And if I was as old as I was now doing that stuff, people would have me institutionalized.
Yeah,
I remember
you'd be really good at cosplay,
seeing. I could. I remember seeing like ninjas that weren't there and kicking them in the air, and like looking back on it now, it's like this is the dumbest crap. Like what did they do? But no, it's like that's just what drives you, and it's just freaking. It's cool. I'm excited to kind of see that kind of stuff.
It's neat. I mean, he wakes up in the morning, he just plays all day until he goes to sleep, and for him playing and doing all that kind of stuff, it's like a job.
Yeah.
You know, he wakes up and he says, man, I got some stuff to do today. These people got to be rescued. I got to get this stuff delivered. I got to build this city, you know,
on rock and roll.
Yeah. I have to do like all this stuff. And you're like, hey, it's time to eat. And he's like, no, this city still isn't built. These people still aren't rescued. I will eat when I am ready to eat. And you just go back in there, you know,
funny.
But it's really weird, but I mean, it is a job. Like that's his job to play. That's what he does. But yeah, they're,
turn the clock back. So much better than paying bills, doing taxes. I mean, that's what you live through. It's like now you're at our age, you're doing the 9 to 5. You got, you know, you should have a good amount of kind of, hopefully, you know, you have some extra cash. You know, it's not like when you were in your 20s and in your teens. It's like, you know, you built up some, but also like you're working all the time. You miss a lot of stuff. And then you get these glimpses of awesomeness that you kind of miss. And you kind of get that through your kid. And this is all new to me, right? I'm the newest dad out of the three of us. Shane will probably have a whole bunch of stories like holding a garden hose and letting it go. Him being gone now, 6-7 episodes or whatever it is. But it is really cool to watch a being, just in the plainest sense, discover the world. And they're discovering the purest parts of the world and going with it. He doesn't have to watch the news. He doesn't have to be exposed to, you know, like say negativity at this point, unneeded negativity. I'm all about having kids go through their not necessarily bully, but you know, they've got to go through phases to understand right, wrong, what's good, what to avoid, trust, mistrust, all these things that every kid has to go through, having their heart broken, being sad, having something taken away from them, also getting moody. All these things are important for their development, but like in essence, in your home, at least hopefully your home environment's like this, it's like a pure place to watch somebody just experience something without any kind of thought about, oh, what's someone thinking about me? What if I do this? Is someone going to judge me? I mean, that's something we naturally kind of have to do in our, you know, we have pretty professional jobs and stuff, and it's like, it's cool to like know S's to G.
Yeah, but that's one of the weird things that's happened here lately, because up until, I don't know, a month or two ago, you'd be like, hey, why don't you do your dance? Why don't you dance? And he would just dance. You know what I mean? Like I don't care who sees me. I'm just going to do my little dance here. But now he started to be like, well, everybody else doesn't dance and everybody else isn't dancing. So I'm not really doing the same thing that the herd is doing.
Yeah, he's like, I'm not your monkey.
Well, but he's embarrassed. Or he's starting to develop that social awareness of what other people are doing around him, and when he's not in the norm of that, if that makes sense. So that's a little bit weird to see too, that he's starting to develop that. And then the other thing that he's starting to get is you know, he says, I want to be a big kid. I want to grow up and be a big kid. I want to do big things. And so he has this drive to like, I want to be big. I want to do, and I'm like, no, you just need to enjoy being what you are right now, because you won't be that forever. But there's
that's a concept that makes no sense to
it. Doesn't.
Yeah.
But there's this innate thing of like, I always want to be bigger and smarter, and I want to be more like an adult.
Sure.
And do adult stuff.
I mean, I remember thinking high schoolers were the oldest, and now you see a high schooler, you're like, you
like
immature.
I mean, yeah, they just look like, and when it's weird, I always say that, you know, when I was in high school, I used to think I was old. And then when I was in college, I would go back to high school and think, oh, all these kids look like babies. And then I got out of college, you know, you're out for a while and you go back to college. And you're like, wow, all these people look like babies. Now that I'm in my mid-30s, I see people in like their mid-20s. I'm like, oh, they look like babies, you know.
It's a weird cycle.
It is weird. And then
I remember going to college parties when I was like 25, 26. And now like 25, 26, Those are good years. 27. Those are all like prime years. But when you're like looking at, I remember I'd go back to a college party and I was the old guy at a college party at like 25, me and a couple friends. And like, think about it now. Like,
Oh yeah.
freaking, like, we don't go to the bars because, like, why would you do that? You drink with your friends or whatever. But every once in a while when we go out and we're the oldest ones, it's kind of fun watching and seeing every scenario that you had. That's the other thing. It's like, I don't really want to do that because I went through it all. We've had the nights where someone bloodied their face. We've had the nights where you just get in a car and go to another party just because someone at that party said there's another party somewhere else and we're over the age of getting abducted and they seem cool. But we don't do that. Imagine going to a party, meeting someone interesting, getting in their car and going to another party. We wouldn't do that. It sounds, you're looking at me like it's
Yeah.
You're 30s, getting into 40s. You don't do that kind of stuff. It's just like, it's so stupid, but I don't miss like the dumb times, like when you go to a party and then someone gets super drunk and punches his head through a wall, and then like everything gets really awkward and the cops get called. It's kind of fun at the time, but now that would be like, why am I not just rewatching Game of Thrones?
Yeah.
Oh man, there's Game of Thrones, and there's this other TV show called The Good Place. Have you heard of this?
I've heard of it. I've not seen it.
Dude, really good. It's a Netflix thing, but the premise is about like heaven and hell and getting caught in between. Like it's this lady dies and she gets a really crappy person and she gets mistaken for a good person, so she goes to the good place, and it's all about them kind of finding out who she. It's bizarre. It's kind of like like Edward Scissorhands at the time. There's nothing like it, but it's really good, and it has that blonde chick. She's kind of petite.
Christine Applegate.
No. She's the one from like not Get Him to the Greek, but like bless it.
Sarah Silverman.
Not Sarah Silverman. That show that like was on CBS and then it left and then it came back. It's driving me crazy. She's real attractive, like petite blonde.
I don't know, man. There's like attractive petite blondes. They're like interchangeable.
Yeah.
There's like a new one every year, and then their career last year, and then there's a new one.
Yeah, true. But anyway, it's funny. It's a good comedy. It's totally different. But I don't know. Good time waste. And Ted Danson's in it. That's the big thing. Ted Danson's like the architect, so to speak. It's kind of like The Matrix, except in like sitcom form. Anyway, let's get back to our handheld minute. So our handheld minute is not quite like our book club. It's just a small little segment once we realize like 15 episodes in that we are not giving enough love to handhelds, and we've been meaning to do so. So we each dad just picks a handheld game that we've enjoyed, and we wanted to shed light on one of these portable games that we enjoy, and maybe you will too. So there's no rules to this. These are just games that we like across our library that we would recommend to you. So Adam, what is your handheld minute, our working title? Again, you have 2 weeks, people. 2 weeks to either email at us at videogamedads@yahoo.com, tweet at us, Instagram us. What's the other thing that people do?
They can
Facebook us.
Yeah, I think that's all the main.
Poke us.
Anyways.
Is that still a thing?
You can. The poking on Facebook is like hidden. It's like in a sub menu or something.
Oh, it's like a hidden poke.
Yeah, you used to. It was
That's
like,
illegal.
No, it's still legal. But no, you.
I don't know.
Used to it was like, old Facebook. Yeah, you just like hit somebody's picture or something. And it was like poke whoever, and now it's like you can still do it, but like it takes a lot of effort. And now if anybody pokes you, it's weird.
Oh, super weird. I got poked recently, and it was a chick.
Yeah,
and
I got poked by somebody,
like,
and I was like, I
I
didn't even know you could still do that. And
yeah. Should I tell my wife about that?
Yeah, but you can. You can still be poked. But it rarely happens anymore because it's hidden. But yeah, it still happens.
All right. So anyway, so give us your suggestion. We got a couple more like portable propaganda and things like that.
I'm going to go with Final Fantasy Tactics for the DS.
For the DS.
Yeah, Final Fantasy Tactics. Sorry, Final Fantasy Tactics A2, Grimoire of the Rift.
Jeez.
So just call it Final Fantasy Tactics A2 or Final Fantasy Tactics
for the DS. So our first DS pick, good for you. I haven't gone to the DS, so I won't ever pick those. So those will be up to you and Shane. So tell us why you picked it.
Well, it's a great game. If you like strategy games, this has oodles of replay value. You can spend hundreds of hours on this game if you wanted to. If you can. if it's actually probably the single most played game in my DS library that I've spent the most time on.
Oh, interesting.
But if you like Final Fantasy Tactics on PlayStation, if you like Final Fantasy Tactics Advance,
Cool.
then you will like this game. But it's basically Final Fantasy, all the battling, all the character leveling, all of the customization, like weapons, strategy. It's all the strategy part of Final Fantasy without all of the
Fluff.
fluff.
Cool.
Yeah, it's just this cut and dry turn-based strategy game that's really fun and interactive.
Square Enix.
Square Enix.
Probably cost-ish.
Oh, I haven't looked it up in a while, but I think it's still relatively affordable, maybe $20 or something.
Cool. All right, that's Adam's pick. My pick, I'm going to go with the Virtual Boy. It is a portable system.
It is.
You got to give love to some of those.
You can move it places.
Yeah. So my pick, a lot of people have played this. I don't feel like a lot of people like this game as much as I do, but also this is a game that you really should put your head in that headset to actually play. And my choice for our handheld minute to recommend is Red Alarm for the Virtual Boy. Quick aside, I got this when I was trying to rent from Blockbuster, I think Mario Tennis or something. And I opened it up in the car, and inside there was Red Alarm. And I saw it as like a spaceship thing. It just seemed like not something I'm into. But my mom, luckily in the car, she had the wherewithal to say, just try it. You might like it. Because we could have returned it, and it's not like we couldn't have gone in and exchanged it. But she said, just try it. And I'm glad she did. And it was kind of my first grasp at maybe I don't always know what I'm picking. Maybe I'm passing up games that are good. And Red Alarm, some people don't like the way it looks. It is basically a wireframe inside a cave slow Star Fox. I didn't sell that at all. I really like it because it does a really good 3D effect to the Virtual Boy games. I don't have any problem like seeing a lot of reviews I've seen say like once you're running into a wall, it's hard to tell what you can shoot, what the walls are. You like literally things will come up. They'll be like little not what is it when like a part of the cave is in the middle, like a
stalactite.
Yeah, like a stalactite, except it's like floor to ceiling, a column. There we go. Yeah. So basically a column in the cave, and you have to avoid it. A lot of people say like it's hard to tell like where to go, what to do. I feel like the wireframe is pretty good, and you can always see where you're going. And I think the look is cool. I think the music is really cool. It's kind of like got a like creepy vibe to it, like kind of uncomfortable, claustrophobic, and it's kind of got a Tron-like feel to it.
Yeah,
I really
Last Starfighter.
Yeah, Last Starfighter. I really like the look at it, and basically it's third-person perspective behind the boat, kind of like Star Fox, but it doesn't play anything like Star Fox. It's not really a good comparison, but like the ship is similar, shaped to it. But I really like it. It feels like a shooter, except like a shooter in a third-person, different perspective. But it's Red Alarm for the Virtual Boy. Another reason to pick it is it's pretty inexpensive. It's very common, probably like second or third most printed or created game. You could probably find Red Alarm for $15 or less.
Yeah, about $15.
Right there, yeah.
Yeah, and I looked up Final Fantasy Tactics A2 while we're on it. About $12 will get you a complete copy, which is a steal for that game.
Yeah, so if you run across them, I'll pick them up. Give them a try. So that's it for our handheld minute. Remember, you've got 2 weeks to give in your name for our segment, and we're going to pick it next time, hopefully with Shane if he's here. That is our handheld minute. So try out those games. Give them a play. So what are we going to talk about next, Adam?
I think we're going to talk about the Retro Engine Sigma.
Yeah, what is this Retro Engine Sigma?
It might be a robot from the future.
Yeah.
Or it might be a little video game console that emulates games.
Yes, that was created on Indiegogo. So it was really hard for Adam and I to kind of keep this a secret. Back in our early episodes, around March, this is when we became self-aware, much like a computer, no, where we kind of thought like, we don't really want to, and thank God, I think kind of that we didn't do this. We don't want to recommend something really out front until we actually test it. I mean, I told a couple friends about like, hey, check this out if you're interested. This seems interesting. And it went all over. If you like kind of follow the news, it was
Yeah, it was
talked
all
about.
over YouTube and everything
And
else.
Kotaku and like even the Times and everything. So they created an Indiegogo. Indiegogo is a lot like Kickstarter. It's basically crowdfunding ideas for, if you've heard of the RetroPie, we're not really into like customizing emulation, partially because we try to keep things pretty pure. And the other half is we're not super technical with that stuff. That's not our wheelhouse, you know, like you could be a guy out there that you know, I could change a tire and do some basic stuff, change my oil, but you know, I'm not a gearhead. I'm not a machinist. I can't work on my car.
Yeah, and
I'm not a computer guy. I don't mess with like retro Raspberry Pi stuff.
Yeah, but I'm a hoarder. I like having the stuff. I like having the original hardware. I
Yeah.
like having the old games, you know, like the actual games.
But there's something to be said about the simplicity of having something like this. So this is basically what it looks like is a little mini Sega Genesis shell, and inside was an emulation machine that they did a very good job portraying that, you know, all these systems are going to work on. It's pretty plug and play. Like,
It'll emulate anything.
yeah, it'll emulate really well, and it'll have a great user interface. It kind of made it seem like
Basically everything up to 32, 64-bit.
yeah, like
generation.
yeah, like TurboGrafx, Commodore, everything, and it seemed to be in a really great package, easy to use. Forums would help you out. It was relatively inexpensive for what you got. I was an early backer. I was really excited. You know, it was about 6 months away from coming out originally as planned, but I'm used to these things getting delayed. And I thought, like, what a great thing to have and maybe recommend for our listeners, especially if they want to play some of these video game book club things. If they, let's say they have a budget in mind or they had to get rid of their games, they can't really buy things back at this time. And it's a great kind of alternative if you're not really into that scene of the Raspberry Pi scene stuff that's kind of coming out now. I think another thing that made it big was the NES Classic. The NES Classic, low availability, caused people to find alternatives.
Yeah,
And
they went, oh, I can't get my NES Classic. Is there another way I can play these?
And to be perfectly honest, this was actually a byproduct of that exact thing. When I couldn't get an NES Classic, this popped up within a month. And I think they just got lucky on the timing because it would have taken longer to produce this. But they basically were taking advantage of these people that weren't able to get an NES Classic. And I was one of them that went ahead and bought into this. There were some delays. It was supposed to originally ship
May or so, May,
early
June.
May. Yeah. And I only got it like 2-3 weeks ago. And yours is on your way?
I guess.
Yeah. Okay. So my story with this is it arrived. I kind of stayed away from YouTube because a lot of people, and we won't say names, but like even podcasts were reviewing this thing without actually having it in their possession and just basically, you know, talking about it and critiquing it without even, let's say, backing it, knowing anything about it or knowing anything about, like, I'll be first to say I don't know how a lot of this stuff works. That's why I kind of needed it to be simple. So I wanted to wait till I had it. And a lot of it I haven't even told you, Adam, but like it's been a kind of a frustrating experience.
That seems to be the consensus.
Yeah. So, you know, it comes with a memory card, a mini memory card. Turns out that thing is not working. It took me a while to realize that. And I found out by going on forums and Facebook groups that like evidently the memory card, a lot of them are, you know, mini SD, right?
SD, yeah.
Mini SDs are pretty inexpensive. So I'm like, whatever. And luckily also on YouTube, there is, really what happened was this thing is what's called an Orange Pi. So for those that don't know, an Orange Pi is like a Raspberry Pi, but not as powerful, so to speak. It's maybe a step down, but still a great emulation machine. But that's what basically this thing is. And it's unfortunately not very plug and play because the interface they use is not very user-friendly, and it kind of hinders the hardware they have inside of it. So a fix for this, and a lot of people have found great success with this Retro Engine Sigma. It also comes with like a wireless controller, an HDMI cable, a lot of stuff. I think I paid $60, $59.99 for the early backer, and I got like the big memory card, which is bunk. So I should probably write them and get a replacement. They should at least owe you that, I'm guessing. But I had a spare backup card. You have to flash the card, and flashing the card is some weird convoluted thing where you basically like rewrite the card in a special way. And I was following a YouTube tutorial as best I could. And at one point, to set up the Wi-Fi, you actually have to have a wired keyboard. And that's unfortunately where I fell off, because I spent 2 or 3 hours trying to get this thing working. I will say there's a lot of helpful people out there that can get you through all the steps and then get you to get these emulators and ROMs started. So here's the other thing about this world is you have to have a whole bunch of ROMs for this thing. And I don't have a whole set of ROMs like probably a lot of people do, and they're kind of hard to find on the internet, or you have to wade through a lot of them. And like basically this thing I was getting at, like, you know, parts of it weren't working properly. I had to do all this technical stuff that I was not signed up for. And I felt like if I wanted to do this, I would have just bought a freaking Raspberry Pi for the same amount of money. And like, you know, so that was just disappointing. What it was sold as wasn't quite what the reality of this thing is. But that being said, a lot of people who have gone through the steps to basically retrograde this thing and put it back into, like, it's an Orange Pi with a weird program on it. You know, again, I'm not getting super technical, but you can make it just be a regular Orange Pi Lite. And that's by, like, it tells, again, the YouTube tutorials are great, and you can basically make this thing really playable and basically kind of do what it was designed to do, which is be a cool little emulation machine. And my idea for this was to have this in my Wii U kiosk as like the second thing to play. So you could play the Wii U, and then you can have this to like play any of the old games, have someone over to like just, you know, play all the TurboGrafx games, and like, you know, there's 2-player options and all this. So after, unfortunately, I haven't been able to like get it running very well. A couple things happened from it. So right now the Retro Engine Sigma is not even in my possession. I was so frustrated with it. I started looking at I started looking at alternatives to getting this kind of plug and play system that I wanted. But I went ahead, and a guy that I met at Missouri Game Con, his name is Zebular, Jake. I messaged him, and I'm just kind of like, hey, is there any way you can kind of help me out? Because I'm not getting this thing working. And he's very technical. He's got a great, Zebular is his YouTube, Zebular. He has great little videos out there. Again, he's not a full-time YouTuber or anything like that. But luckily, it is now in his possession. So it's kind of, the jury will be out if this thing gets working. But I was kind of like, can you help me out? Like, I'll throw you a bone. And he was instantly like, of course I will help you, because he's built emulation machine, Raspberry Pis. He's helped out Adam Krolik, and like he really gets all this kind of technical stuff. So hopefully by the time yours comes, Adam, we can get this thing working. So that's the Retro Engine Sigma. It's a frustrating thing.
Yeah, I almost don't even want to take mine out of the box and just keep it as a historical piece.
Yeah, I mean, that's just it. Like, I knew, like, you and I together aren't going to have the time to get this thing working and fixed. And I feel like I luckily only told 1 or 2 people, but it's kind of like, dang it, this thing isn't quite what I expected. So hopefully my buddy Jake can get this thing working, and I can kind of give you an update on the next, or maybe a couple episodes from now, because I just wanted a simple little emulation machine. But there's kind of a nice silver lining to this. When I was looking at like plug and play emulation systems, I've always known that the original Xbox,
The OG
Xbox,
the huge VCR Xbox,
yes, the one that'll kill your cat if it falls on it,
yep,
will do. You can mod an original Xbox. They used to hard mod, or you know, like modding for the Xbox has been around for 15 years.
You just put some nitrous on it,
Yeah,
some switches,
yeah. DNA of Vin Diesel.
yeah, and Michelle Rodriguez. You just put her in there, she drives it.
Yep, and basically then you've got a Fast and Furious Xbox.
And it'll make $100 million.
So I've always heard that this thing has been an emulation machine, but I haven't been super into it. Well, I got a wild hair, and a couple things happened. There is something called the Mountain Dew Xbox. Have you heard of this?
Yes, it is. It's the preferred version of the Xbox.
Yeah, so I now own a limited edition Mountain Dew Xbox.
Does it shoot Doritos at your face?
It shoots gamer fuel at my face, Doritos. Actually, just the dust. Can you imagine? Can you imagine when you turn the fan on that thing, like Dorito dust just poofs out of there? So the story behind the limited edition Mountain Dew Xbox is, if you've ever seen this thing before, I hinted at this on our Instagram. So please follow us on Instagram. And I'll take more pictures of it now that, and it's funny. Hinting at a Mountain Dew Xbox is kind of a joke because it's lime green and it's the shape of the foundation of a house. Like, you can tell what this thing is when you're looking at it. So back in 2005, 2004,
thereabouts-ish,
Xbox created a limited edition Mountain Dew version that is lime green,
and it's really lime green,
super lime green.
Yeah.
And I haven't liked the color green. And they made 5,000 of these. They said up to 5,000, but they definitely made 5,000 of these, and they were only available for you to purchase via points through the Mountain Dew online system. When you open a cap or open a can or a 12-pack, you get the code in there, and you had to drink a lot of Mountain Dew
you had to replace
and Doritos
your blood with Mountain Dew,
basically. So what the other side of this is, when these things went live, as the story goes, they sold out really quickly. So, but it being an OG Xbox, these things aren't super expensive. Now, if this thing was called the Nintendo Xbox, a Mountain Dew Xbox by now would probably be like $2,000 or $3,000 or something crazy.
and rightfully so.
Yeah. But I really like the original Xbox. I think it's my favorite system with the built-in hard drive from that era, excluding Dreamcast. Just me personally, between the GameCube and PS2, it plays in high def. You can get component cables. It'll play in 1080i. A couple games play in 1080i. The OG Xbox that came out in 2002, right? When did it come out?
Yeah, the 2003, somewhere in there. Yeah,
Probably two, because
2,
Dreamcast 99.
it came out when I was in college. Yeah, so it would have been 2002,
Okay,
2003,
2002-ish, whatever. And they're pretty reliable. Some of the disk drives, the belt needs to be replaced here and there, but I was able to get one of these things. They run a couple $100, but I also, while I was looking for I've always wanted a Mountain Dew Xbox. I've just never found one. Well, while I was looking, I randomly was looking on eBay to see what the market is for these things. And there's a lot. Here's one problem with recommending this to our listeners, which I do, is there's a lot of different people who mod this thing out there. And you could even try to mod one yourself, I guess, if you get a wild hair. There's a lot of tutorials. But you're running into the same problem where you have to be pretty technical. It's kind of a involved thing. You have to open it up. So there's different levels to this where you can get someone who modded an Xbox, doesn't quite know what they're doing, and you can kind of shoot craps and pay like $90 and get a modded Xbox that you don't know how well it works. Maybe the disk drive doesn't work. But I found this guy on eBay. And his eBay ID is TypeShizLude, TypeShizLude. And that's also his YouTube. If you want to check him out, please do. So, I was wading through. I was like, I really just want to get one of these things. I feel like so burned from the Retro Engine Sigma. And I started looking. It's as long as you find someone that's really well made, and some people really customize these Xboxes a certain way, but when I found that he's got a Mountain Dew Xbox, and it came with a wireless controller, and also full disclosure, he did give me a little bit of a discount. So that being said, I wanted to check this thing out before I recommended him personally. But what I liked about him is his description. He basically was very honest he goes in and cleans the system, which is important. He cleaned out the clock, cleaned the clock. He removed the clock capacitor that can be leaky.
The fish oil.
Yeah, and any capacitors that needed to be changed. He updates the hard drive. And then also there's so many different, what would you call it? Programs, front-facing, so many different types of emulators and different ways the system can be set up. And also how you get in and out of the systems can be kind of counterintuitive. And gives you, after you purchase from him, he gives you a link to his YouTube, kind of showing you how to navigate all the menus and things like that. So, he doesn't produce all these ROMs, but he kind of puts the builds together. and creates a really good package and really reliable. I mean, he had 411 feedback, and they were all positive. So again, there's a lot of different people you can buy these things from. I kind of vetted and liked this guy and communicated back and forth. He shipped it. It was in perfect condition. And like I said, I feel like I paid a very fair price for this thing. And, he ended up working with me and also answering any questions I had later. And this thing is freaking stocked and loaded, and I freaking love it. And I think, I should have gotten one of these things years ago. It has 20,000, 30,000 games. It's got a terabyte hard drive, and the emulation is actually really good. I showed you a couple of videos and showed you how to navigate all the menus and things like that. I did ask him if I could he said there's only 15 gigs left, so I couldn't add a bunch, but I can remove some to add some as well. There's emulators for Commodore, for the Amiga CD, for the Jaguar CD, all these games that I'm never going to be able to play, and they play really, really well. All the NES games, all Super NES, all the all the arcade games out there, all the MAME, really runs really well, and I'm really happy with it. So the modded Xbox route is kind of a good plug and play alternative if you don't want to really deal with the Raspberry Pi type stuff. And like I said, I was really surprised how well this thing plays and how well everything runs. And once you get, and he also replaces the belt drive. The belt drive on these things can get kind of messed up. So
yeah, one of my Xbox's belt drive's jacked up on it.
Yeah, and I don't know how hard of a fix it is. And again, you can kind of see if this is something up your alley that you want to do. You can find a original Xbox. It depends. If you go to a used game store, probably 40, 50, 60 bucks, but you can find one at a garage sale for $5,
Oh,
$10.
I've got 3 of them, and I don't think I spent more than $10 on one of them.
Yeah, and get it modded, or you can find other modded ones too. You don't have to just use this eBay seller. But anyway, that's Type Shiz Lewd guy was the one I used, and I just didn't want to deal with any issues. And this guy seemed pretty professional. And kind of stands behind his thing and says it'll help you out. So that's kind of why I wanted to do that, to get it. And I don't regret it at all. And now I have a Mountain Dew Xbox. And I also already have a Halo one. So I have both of the iterations of these.
You got to get that orange one now.
Oh, yeah. Wait, what?
There's an orange one.
Was it limited edition?
I'm not sure. It's super duper rare, supposedly.
Oh, it's the Dev Unit one. They made 10. I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, there's an orange one.
There's no way I'm going to get that. But, people you can add LED lights to it. There's some people who there's I saw a Dragon Ball Z themed one.
You put hydraulics on it?
Yeah. I mean, sometimes, for about the price of a Switch or something, you can get one that is steampunky and all this kind of weird stuff. But
fog machine.
Yeah. Yeah, just kind of, sure, just kind of weird stuff. But anyway, when it comes down to it, when you get to the brass tacks, I was really surprised how easy this stuff plays and how good it looks. So anyway, if you're into that thing and if you were burned by the Retro Engine Sigma, or that sounds like fun, check out an original modded Xbox, kind of a great alternative, and you can kind of play our video game book club picks pretty easily.
All right, so moving on, we'll talk about things that we picked up here recently. I've had a couple of big pickups. Well, I've had one big pickup, I suppose. I happened into picking up a GameCube kiosk here recently, and I actually posted a picture of it on Facebook the other day. But really happy to have it. I got a fair number of GameCube games and really like GameCube stuff in general, and kind of have a couple of harder to find GameCube things, so it's kind of nice or cool to have a kiosk to go along with all of it.
Yep.
And so I have it set over by the Wii U kiosk, and it looks really cool because they both have blue LED backlights on them that look good and that sort of thing. And the GameCube, of course, is got a CRT television that goes with the whole thing, a little Samsung, and so it looks really good. I had a Dreamcast kiosk, which is now Shane's. And I have the Wii U kiosk and the GameCube kiosk. So both those are sitting over there by each other and are fitting in pretty nicely with the Nintendo Shrine that I've got going on down here.
Yeah.
So that's my big pickup. I've picked up a few these kind of random games here as of late, mostly PS4 stuff. But I got both the Atari Flashback Volume 1 and Volume 2 coming in the mail. For the Atari, picked up Gravity Rush 2 for PS4, and Drive Club VR, which is one of the VR games that I didn't have. And then I know a couple of months ago you had talked about picking up the Farpoint VR bundle.
Yeah.
With the cool controller, the cool gun controller.
Yeah.
And I had missed out on that with the original print. And they had the standalone game available, but I didn't really want to get it without getting the cool controller.
Yeah, and the controller's like super important for that game.
Yeah, so it actually came back, and I think you can still get it, but they reprinted it, rebundled it, and re-released the bundle. So I picked up that bundle.
Yeah.
And have it now too. So I'm part of the club.
Awesome.
And so I haven't been able to play it yet, but
Yeah, definitely play it because like it's pretty unreal how awesome it feels to hold a gun in VR that actually feels like a gun. I don't know, like it's just it makes it immersive is a very overused word in VR, but like it's pretty legit. It really feels.
Yeah, no, it looks awesome. The game looks awesome. I was really happy to be able to get that because I thought it was one of those things that would never go back into print. The problem is they didn't release very many of those bundles to begin with, and they immediately sold out, and then they were selling them for twice as much as
or
what they
more.
were. Yeah, originally. And I wasn't going to spend twice what the original MSRP was on it. So so I was really happy to be able to pick that up. Got a couple of got those vinyls that I talked about earlier, and that's mostly it. Here as of late at least.
Cool. All right. Okay, for like things that I picked up recently, I randomly have gotten a bug for like the PSP. I love the PSP.
The PSP is a good one.
And it's kind of I'm not it's funny because it's a lot like a PS2, I guess, and I don't have a ton of PS2 games. I actually sold a bunch of my PS2 games back, which I rarely do, to retro stores, and they had some Labor Day sales, and I picked up a bunch of just like really good PSP games, I don't know, they're just like $4 or $5. And
it's a great library, underappreciated library.
Yeah, like even today I picked up a horizontal side-scrolling shooter called Platypus for the PSP.
Which a platypus is a marsupial.
Yeah, it's like I never even heard of this thing, and it's even at the store for like $4.99 or $5, and it's complete. I've been looking for it. It's a claymation shooter that has got a really cool little interesting style to it. I showed it to you. I can't wait to like play it. It's just like a lot of these games I never knew existed, and they're super inexpensive, and you can get the component cables and play it on your HD TV. So what I want to do with the PSP is buy like a really 10-year-old, 5-year-old HD TV that's like 19-inch and have it just to have like my little PSP corner to like play all the games on the big screen.
And you can play your UMDs on it too.
Yep. Yeah.
Your movies.
Yeah.
A platypus is an egg-laying mammal. Is that accurate?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what makes it.
Well, they say it's like God's little, like it's the wildebeest, right? It's a bunch of mixes of an animal. Put
Yeah, it's
together.
like a duck and a beaver
and
a chicken.
Yeah. I just know it has like a really sharp, like it's got a fin, but it's also got this freaking like hugely pointed sharp toe that can do some damage.
I thought you were going to. You scared me on where you were going with that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
a pointed toe that it fights off.
It's between its legs, but it's supposedly a toe. No, I'm just kidding. But evidently, it's like I don't know. It can like mess you up, or it can get all infected if it ever hits you or something. But yeah, platypus. But anyway, it's called Platypus. I don't know why it's called Platypus because I haven't played it yet. But anyway, I picked that sucker up. I also I finally picked up that Crash Bandicoot for PS4. I haven't played it yet because I bought it literally today.
You'll like it.
But it was on a buy two, get one or whatever, and it was the same price. So I'm excited to play that because I played the old ones back in the day, Crash 2, and I heard it's very good. I'm all about, hopefully they'll remake the Spyro trilogy. I've been saying that.
They will. I think that's the
I hope
one.
so. I really hope so because that music is good. It's done by the Stuart Copeland from the drummer from The Police. Did the whole soundtrack for those.
They'll redo it.
I hope so.
I guarantee it.
I really hope so. Let's see. Oh, and a big one for VR, I didn't talk about this yet, is I picked up Super Hot
Super hot.
for the PSVR, PlayStation. So this thing is like the reason I would say to get VR. It's like I feel it's like the killer app. I know it comes out for other things. You get the HTC Vive and all this, but I'm just speaking directly about the PSVR. This thing came out for the other VR headsets, the other big two, the Oculus and the HTC Vive already like a year ago, and that finally came out for the PS4. It's digital only, unfortunately, but I knew I wanted to play it. So what this game is, bear with me.
It's all right. I'm with you.
Help me describe this thing. This is basically black, white, and red are the only colors. First-person shooter puzzle game. And the reason why it's a puzzle game is basically your goal in each level is to shoot or destroy guys coming at you, and it's one-hit kill. But the catch is time does not move unless you move. So when you start out the level and you're holding still, these guys are coming at you in like 3D space, like looks real realistic, and they can shoot you, they can hit you, or they can throw stuff at you, and they're one-hit kill as well. You can either punch them, you can shoot them, or you can like throw stuff at them. But they come at you in like a specific way. They might be in front of you or behind you, and the style is like freaking. The style of this game is really good. But if they're shooting at you and a bullet's coming at you, you can duck out of the way and duck and pause, and you can literally see the bullet like whizzing by you. But let's say you're punching a guy and you don't realize there's someone to your right that shot a bullet. When you're punching the guy and you turn to the right, all of a sudden there's a bullet like in your face, and you have to like duck and dodge out of the way. But again, it's really cool because time does not advance unless you are moving, and you don't walk around really. You're just basically moving left and right and grabbing stuff. So you can duck behind a pillar, grab like a coffee cup, and throw it at a guy that's running. And as soon as you hit him, he kind of breaks apart. And there's anywhere from 1 to like 7 guys in each area. And then each of your guns also is only got like 3 or 4 bullets in it. And you can also like punch a guy and his gun flies up in the air, and you catch it in midair and shoot other guys. And again, this is all like you punch them and you hold still, and then you can see the guns flying up. And as you're reaching for the gun is moved. So like, and it's hard.
It's like bullet time.
Yeah, it's kind of, like Max Payne, bullet time, slow motion. So you're basically playing a game in slow motion, but you can move as fast as possible. And every scenario you're at is different. So you're basically hopping around different scenes. Again, the whole background is basically a white monochromatic.
It's like being in the Matrix loading program.
Yeah, so the colors are very minimal, so you can instantly see what's grabbable. Black things you can pick up, and red is like the color of the bullets whizzing at you. But also what's neat is if a bullet's coming at you, you can hold your gun and block the bullet with the gun, and it makes it like a ping noise. Or if you've got like a bottle, you're about to hit someone over the head, you can hold the bottle real quick in front of your face to block the bullet, and then the bottle shatters. This thing is like the most ingenious use of VR. I love it. If you have a PSVR and you haven't heard of this for whatever reason, go out and buy it now. You will not be disappointed. You have not picked this up yet.
I have not.
Just because you want a physical release.
I want the disc.
It's the most frustrating thing you've ever said on this whole podcast. Just buy this game. It is so freaking good. Shane even got this a few months ago, and like I saw him randomly, probably hardly gets any time to play. I haven't talked to him about it, but I was what are the chances of both of us being online at the same time? But I saw he was playing VR and saw him on there like getting a few. So he's downloaded it too, and he just freaking loves it. So there's a lot of good VR stuff out there. Being an early adopter, you get along, but they have had a recent price drop too. I think it's now dropped $50 plus you get the camera before, and before you didn't get the camera, so it's like knocked down $100. All the games are clearanced out as well. You can pick up a lot of the games for like $10, and it's a lot of ignorant people are saying it's because it's failing. It's like no. It's just that's the first wave of games. There's going to be more, but it's a niche thing. It's neat. It's hard to do with kids because you're out of this world when you do it. But Super Hot for the VR is just like unreal. Like you can still play this with a controller outside of VR, but like there's not an experience like this. You're basically like a superhero in the Matrix. Like, yeah, and when you die, you instantly can start right over at the place that you died before. So super hot, awesome pickup. I'm really happy I grabbed that. What else have I gotten? Anything?
I don't know. You got some random PS3 stuff.
Yeah, some random stuff here and there, and I can't even remember what I picked up. It must not have been super memorable. Some imported stuff. I still trade a lot with guys overseas of some like imported games. I help them with games only here that I send them back and forth. It's a weird like little club I'm in, so don't judge me for that. I did beat. I know we're not talking about stuff we played because I really hadn't had a chance to play anything, but I did beat Horizon Zero Dawn. So I've talked about.
You still like it as much as you did?
Yeah, I do. That's in a nutshell. I really liked it. So that came out when my baby was born. And it's really fitting. How does this show you what happens to your video game playing once you have a kid? I just now beat a game as my kid turned 6 months old. I will say I put about 30, 40 hours into this all total. I looked at the clock. I recently listened to another podcast, that Why Are You Listening to Us guys that we fans of, and they're fans of the show as well. They were playing The Witcher. One of them was playing The Witcher and commented they 40 hours into it and like the game, but like it's too much to get into. Like they go and like have this mission where they find someone's cat or do this, or one of the missions is to like be in a play and like say the words of the play and remember them to like make the father of someone like you or something. Anyway, it's just like he realized like I'm kind of done playing this game, and I'm like, dang it, for those 40 hours you could have been playing Horizon Zero Dawn.
I kind of had that same experience with something I was playing.
What's that?
Not to interrupt you too much.
No, go ahead.
Well, I started on Nier Automata, like we talked about.
Good, yeah. So
So
you played it.
yeah, so the game starts out great. It's
Yeah.
like super arcadey. It actually, if you can imagine, splits between being a shooter and a beat 'em up.
Yeah.
And so it plays really, really cool. It's fast, it's quick, stylish, like really, really neat. And then like you get through all that, and then it turns into like an open world fetch quest.
Okay.
And I quit.
Oh,
I'm not going to play it anymore, I don't think.
Gotcha.
I played it an hour or two after that, and I was like, this is repetitive and it's stupid, and they had a good, straightforward formula, and they went and screwed it up. And it may get better. I'm probably never going to get there.
Wow.
So I laid it down, and I don't think I'm going back.
Gosh, I totally want to borrow it because that's one I want to buy probably. So now I want to see if I like it.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I should pick it back up and play it again, but I don't have a ton of time, and
know,
if you're gonna have this big lull in gameplay and make me figure it out and go and do a bunch of fetch quests that I don't have any.
And those are required.
Oh, yeah, more or less. I mean,
Okay.
they just drop you off in this open area, and people say, "Oh, well, go get me this, or go get me that, or go find this thing, or go find that thing." And I don't think I'm going to go any further with it.
Sure. So like, are those? I'm just curious now. I'm just delving deeper because I know you don't like the open world stuff, which is good to have a different.
Yeah, I didn't
perspective
even
on
know it
stuff.
had that. I thought it was just a straightforward sort
Sure.
of beat 'em up kind of game. And that's not what I wanted out of it.
But are those things optional? I'm still like, I know you.
No,
see
they're not optional.
Okay.
Like you have to
You
go
have
into
to
this
do.
open area.
That's what I was going to
Yes.
ask, because when you say like, oh, someone's in the corner, because even Horizon has that, where I'm going through the world and all of a sudden I'll see someone like, hey, help me. You know what I do? I walk right past them.
Well, no, I mean, and that's
I
fine.
just-
And I don't mind some fetch questy kinds of things, but it just goes into this open area, and then it's kind of like, well, figure out where to go, figure out what to do, figure out this, figure out that. And I know a lot of people like that. But I got a job, I got limited time.
I know, yeah.
You're the person making the game. It's not my job to figure out what game you want me to play. Like just give me a good game, give me a good experience, and don't leave me with these big voids of open-ended time.
Gotcha. How many hours did you put into it?
Oh, I probably put maybe 3 or 4 hours, not much.
Oh, okay. So we don't know if maybe.
Yeah, I'm sure it probably gets better, but I'm not going to spend any more time on it.
Gotcha.
I've got it. My backlogs.
Oh, dude.
I've got plenty of other things that I need to be playing. That
I want to take a
or
vacation just to play games.
I mean, there's plenty of other things that I can be playing and have a good straightforward narrative where I don't have to run around trying to figure out what to do.
Yeah.
And like I said, this isn't like, there are some open world games. I mean, Zelda being one of them, where you can, 2 minutes later figure out, oh, there's kind of a fun little excursion. I'll just do this sort of thing. Like, this seems more empty than that. And even when you do find enemies to fight, it's the stuff's kind of repetitive. You can upgrade weapons, you can upgrade moves, and I can tell that it gets more complex, but I can also tell that it's not going to get
where
it's not,
you want it to
it's
be.
not going to advance as fast as I want it to.
Gotcha.
So so I'm just going to play something else.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
it wants to be Bayonetta 2, but it's not as good as Bayonetta 2.
interesting. Yeah, and I love Bayonetta. That's, again, Bayonetta 2 is still like the main game I ever played on my Wii U. I was meaning to like start playing through all the Wii U games. I just ran out of time. And then, of course, I got into Horizon. But back to that, I'll just say, yes, you asked me, does it end well? It ends great. The story of this thing is awesome. Something that I've found really like weird is, you notice too, when there's a popular game, it is just, or anything, the popular singer, popular movie, like the new Spider-Man that came out, it's a great movie. Like I'm not a huge Spider-Man fan, but I liked this movie, and it was done like a teen drama. It was a different take on the way things are done. But then there's people who like say it's one of the worst ever, and this and all this. It's like, it obviously wasn't. It's just, I get that like it's cool to dig on something popular, I guess, or something like that, you know. And Horizon does things so differently, where I've already gotten into the story and the mythos and how beautiful it looks and all the attention to detail when you're riding on a horse and you're like, not even a real horse, it's like a machine horse or whatever, and you're like turning around, the animation of her moving her legs to go over the thing and move back. Like, there's so much attention to detail, and all the world is so different. And what happens with the story and how you discover, like, you know, you're set in a post-apocalyptic future of a future that hasn't happened yet, like 200 years in the future. And then you're putting together this story of how this happened and what you're fighting. It's like freaking rad. It's so good. So that's why I encourage people to play it, because it's like, it's, you know, I got put 30 or 40 hours into it. I will say, so there's something that you can collect in the game that I've heard about this from either other podcasts or people playing it or reviews or whatever. There is this armor that you can get, because it's a soft RPG where you can upgrade different skill sets and things like that, and weapons. Oh, the weapons are so good. Like, you know, you're tying down these like beasts and stuff and then shooting them, and you break off parts of them to then get to like meteor parts or hearts, or like you shoot certain canisters with fire to get them to blow up. And it's just done so well. But anyway, I had to look on YouTube to like find it. So you have to find 6 different pieces of this armor. You do have to go through a good amount of the story before you get it. So I'd say you have to complete just the story missions about 70 to 80% of the game. So you don't have to beat the whole game to get this armor. But once you get this armor, I hate to say it breaks the game, but it kind of breaks the game, but I'm okay with it. At that point, it's cool to have a cheat code, because so what this armor does is it basically makes you invincible for like a period of 15 seconds at a time, and then it regenerates. So as long as you're getting hit and like hit by something, as long as you just don't hold still and you can get away for a little bit, it won't ever like take down your health. So then
It's like a shield.
Yeah, it's a shield, but a shield of anything, not just like small hits. Like, you can get bombarded from some of these things, and some of these monsters later are about the size of a building. There are these sandworm things. There's no way I would have been able to beat them, and 2 of them at a time. They basically go underground, come up and shoot you with like rocks and everything, and you're running around. But anyway, so don't get that armor if you're up for a challenge at the very end. But I thought the game ends really, really well. There's a lot of twists and turns, and finding that armor was a ton of fun. But yeah, and you can do a new game plus. I kind of want to keep playing it, which is crazy. I beat the game, and I want to complete and find all these like artifacts, and find all these like lookout points and all this other stuff, and then go through the new game plus. Realistically, where I am in my career, like, I've all these other games to play. I kind of don't think I'm gonna be able to, but like this shows to show you how good this game is if I beat it and I just want to play it again. I just like, it's like one of the old games, you know, that. And I mean, this and Rocket League has been the most fun I've had in any game in the last couple of years. So anyway, I liked it. I'm through talking about it. Sorry, you have to trudge through. This is, again, the reality of being a new dad. Like, you play games really far apart. I will say on like Rocket League, I probably have 120 hours or something like that on there. So there's a reason why it took me so long to beat this thing. But there is a new game that came out that you luckily got for me. It's a limited run, not by limited run. It's a platformer. What's that one called?
Guacamelee.
Yeah, Guacamelee.
Yeah.
So this was a download title that recently was made available by VBlank. It's now sold out. They made like 5,000 copies, but it was sold for about 2 weeks.
Yeah, thereabouts. I just was randomly got this email like, hey, Guacamelee physical edition's been released. There's only 5,000 copies.
Yeah, and you messaged. I was like, freaking pick it up. I was working, and thank God you did.
Yeah, so I got it and then messaged Benjamin, and he's like, yeah, give me one too. So I got 2 of them. Happy to have it because it's a really good game. And I have actually, you've played all the way through it, I think.
Yeah.
In the past.
I beat it.
I've played a good ways into it. It's kind of it's a very slapsticky action adventure Metroidvania kind of game.
Metroidvania platformer a la Rain Man as well. Rayman, not Rain Man.
Rayman.
Definitely Guacamelee.
There's no Dustin Hoffman in this. But yeah, I was really happy to get that because I've been meaning to go back to that game at some point because I played a good ways into it, but haven't finished it. So now I'll just start over on it again at some point.
It is in my top list of like favorite games of all time. It is that good.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, what I played of it. So yeah, that's definitely a recommended game.
Yeah, it has some time alteration stuff to it too. I just it's a real good game. You could download it really inexpensively if you just want to check it out or play a demo. But Guacamelee, if you're a fan of old school games and you have a new system and you're kind of looking for stuff to play with, that game is really, really good.
Yeah, and I've been playing in addition to Nier, I've Pac-Man Championship Edition DX2, I think is what it's called. The second one.
Whoa.
Yeah, whoa.
Coming back at you.
Did you ever play the first one?
Yes.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it's very good.
Yeah.
I'm a Pac-Man I played, I didn't play it as much. I like Pac-Man. I'll play Pac-Man and Donkey Kong are kind of I could play them for 15, 20 minutes, but I can't get into it. I love King of Kong, that movie and everything.
Well, the championship, if you haven't played it, it's kind of a remixed version of the old Pac-Man. It's all psychedelic. It's got electronic music, blah blah blah. But man, for if you get 10 or 15 or 20 or 30 minutes to play and just want to really knock something out, it's perfect.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a huge fan of Pac-Man, what an awesome gift that is. It's rare that you can redo something old and make it good.
Yeah,
it's like Pong.
Yeah, I actually like the Galaga DX too, which is a download only. But I actually thought it was really good, aside from being too easy.
Oh, okay, yeah,
yeah. It's not as hard as the old school stuff.
Yeah, Galaga's tough. Well, and they made it didn't they say they kind of found some parts of Galaga they kind of were broken, just plain broken? That makes it hard. Some worlds are just cheap and they didn't mean to do it. It was just that's how the code was made. Mm-hmm. Yeah, cool. So those mainly your kind of pickups and plays recently.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. They made. They also had a Street Fighter cartridge come out. We can talk a little bit about that real quick.
Yeah, I have a lot of mixed feelings about this little doohickey.
Yeah, it's weird. So what happened here?
Yeah, so I am 8-bit.
You are?
No, the website, iam8bit.com.
Okay.
They are selling actually they didn't announce it, I don't even think before it came out, but it is a official release, Super Nintendo game.
Yeah, they say official, so does this count? I know this is a dumb question.
I don't know. I suppose it does technically, depending on who you talk to, but it's a Capcom release. It's a reprinting of Street Fighter 2.
Any extras on it?
I don't think so. I mean, it comes with some kind of a folding card.
But the game's the same.
I think it's the same game. Yeah,
weird.
It's on a red cartridge. So there's 5,000 copies or 5,500 or something. They're all red except 1,000 of them I think are this green color, this glow in the dark green.
Oh, for Blanca.
For the Blanca cartridge.
Okay.
So it's when they sent me the email, I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. Maybe I'll get that. And then I click on the link and I'm like, I'm kind of interested in this. Click. And so it takes me to the iam8bit website. $100.
Yeah.
It's $100.
Yeah. Which, to be fair, that's about as much as they cost back in the day.
Well, that's true, but
I know.
It's Street Fighter 2. It's been released a billion times on every console, and this is not the
GBA has.
This is essentially a reproduction cartridge with Street Fighter 2 on it.
I probably own it on PSP, GBA, Super Nintendo, Nintendo 64. This new machine I have that's mysterious and awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just one of these things where it's and I'll be the first to admit I'm probably part of the problem buying things that I know are limited because they're limited.
Yeah. But I'm the same way. Listen, I have bought a ton of the limited run. Actually, all of them up until recently, where I've decided my shelf is full, kind of down on the limited run. I need to give myself a budget. This thing, I like Street Fighter, but yeah, I saw it and I'm like, no.
Yeah, I'm like $100. No. I mean, I'd like to have it, but not, I don't $100 want to have it. And I think it's just I'm sure people will buy it, but everything
is it sold out or?
I don't know. I haven't checked lately, but
Okay.
Super Nintendo's hot and people spend a lot of money on Super Nintendo games and stuff, but it just seems like a gouge.
It does.
We're purposefully going to limit it. We're going to overprice it purposefully and make it a quote unquote official release so that people will pick it up.
Yeah.
And so I just said no.
Yeah.
But I did actually get a reproduction or order a reproduction this week though that is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Much less sought after than Street Fighter 2 probably, but they're doing a nice re-release of Surgical Strike for the Sega CD /32X combo. The John Hancock talked about on his video, and it's the rarest Sega CD 32X game. Only released in Brazil. It's an FMV game, originally intended to be released here. They only printed 500 copies of it, but there's a really nice box set, full re-release of it, and I ordered that just because I have all of the other 32X Sega CD games. And for those that don't know, those are the games that require both the 32X and the Sega CD.
Nice, not just one or the other.
Yeah, for all the people that have mental disorders and have both.
Jeez, yeah. I mean, how many people now? We're in hundreds actually have both of them right now. Right?
I have no idea. I've got both of them, and I've got the other game, so I've got to have it.
Yeah, but how many people in Kansas City, this big city, 2 or 3 people actually have
I don't know.
It's
Probably
just
not,
crazy.
not many.
Yeah.
Me and Shane have them both.
Of course
We're
you do.
we're probably 2 of the 3.
I've never even played. I've yet to ever even play a 32X game in my life.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
We got a whole shelf of them over here.
All right. Have at it. You should get some Blockbuster signs down here.
Yeah. Maybe we'll do a video game book club pick of a 32X at some point.
Yeah, hey, I think we should. That'd be a great opportunity to get into it. We're going to have a lot of episodes. We probably should. The other thing that was interesting about this Street Fighter 2 is some people were making a big deal about how, like, it's like a Kotaku article or whatever, that the thing could catch fire.
Yeah, there's like a warning.
There's a warning on the website that the cartridge could catch fire.
Yeah.
And it was only 3 days later after this thing came out, people were, and it's like they say, it could get hot, overheat, warm up, and because it's an aftermarket thing and they don't still have the like legality stuff. Yeah. Basically what's funny is this is on most reproduction website protocol to tell you this, because there has been issue in the past. Sometimes these repro carts do get warmer, and if you got dust in your system, you can't guarantee these things are old. Like, yes, there was a time where I think one of these things burned a house down 10 years ago, and someone tried to sue. So now everywhere,
it's like the epilepsy thing on the front.
On the front of the TV. Yeah, so I didn't get why people were making a big deal about this, because I've seen this on a lot of sites that have done reproduction cartridges where they give you a warning like, hey, just in case, be safe.
Some repro or not unlicensed carts do get really hot. Like I have Action 52 for NES, and it weighs as much as a lead brick, and it gets like really hot when you play it. I won't play mine for more than a few minutes at a time because I'm worried it's going to get damaged.
Jeez. Okay.
But they all do that apparently. Like they just get hot. When you play them.
I mean, I forgot like the carts get hot after we were at that con, and I put my Sky Blazer in there, and I pulled it out. And I was like, this thing's like hot to touch. It feels like I just pulled it out of the oven 10 minutes ago. But it's not it helps without any moving parts. And just like anything, like a car engine, like a few 100 degrees or that high temperature to that kind of component isn't as big a deal to like fry stuff, I don't think. But, heat, like anything, I guess it could break things down. But I don't know. I don't think this thing's going to like burn your house down, but it will take $100 out of your account.
It will burn $100 bill.
If you want to do that. And the other part of that is that whole like different color thing. So you have a 1 in 5 chance of getting it.
You can't do anything to increase your chances of getting the special
unless
cartridge.
buying. Is there a limit of buying?
I don't think so.
So you could buy 5.
They're trying to get people to buy more than one in hopes of getting the magical green cartridge.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing that irritates me about it.
Yeah. No, that's a kind of legitimate. I'd rather have them say, okay, for 150 you get this other one, because then even you can kind of distinguish the men between the boys, which ones actually want this thing that just want the limited one for the extra whatever that's still overpriced. But making it random on something that is that premium of product. I mean, they've been doing that in records forever. Like I bought the Jurassic Park soundtrack from Mondo. Mondo is a big, like, it's super popular. Like in the world of art prints and vinyl, Mondo is like the equivalent to the limited run stuff, or probably more popular because more people get this, and things sell out immediately in prints, and they're like hundreds of dollars. So there's a lot of crazy people and crazy hobbies, but they had a Dilophosaurus print for the Jurassic Park soundtrack from Mondo, and they said they're randomly placed. They didn't tell you how many there were, and I happened to get one, which was awesome. And the thing is like splatter painted, and that's expensive. I could sell that on eBay for about $250.
Really? Wow.
And I paid whatever,
I don't
30
even
for it.
know. I don't even know what a Dilophosaurus.
Dilophosaurus, it's the thing that
Dilophosaurus
killed
is.
Seinfeld man.
The one with the
Dennis Nedry.
this little guy with the thing
Yeah,
sticking
that-
out of the side of his head that spits the slime.
Oh, you're not so bad. Yeah, you're not so bad. I'm going to run you over when I come down this hill. Go fetch, stupid, fetch. That's why you're extinct. Do you remember that scene
Oh
at
no,
all?
I remember.
Okay.
It. Yeah, I just didn't know. I just didn't know that thing was called a Waposaurus.
Dilophosaurus.
Yeah, what you said.
Yep. Okay. That's a great scene. God, it's a crazy death scene if you think about it. All the death scenes out there, and he hits his head on the car, and then he's in the car with him.
I actually felt bad for Newman.
Did you?
Yeah,
he was
a
kind
little
of a jerk in there.
Nah, man, he didn't deserve to get killed by a tiny little dinosaur. Nobody deserves to get killed by a tiny
he did.
dinosaur.
Hey, anybody want anything from the vending machines? I'm just I have something sweet. I thought I could get something a little salty. No? Okay. Where's Ned? Check the vending machines. I need to stop. We lost 10 listeners. I could just tell.
All right.
All right. You got anything else here?
I don't think so. I think
I think
that's
we're pretty
everything.
good.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So again, you got one more episode to get your suggestions in for our handheld minute. We've gotten great suggestions. We're going to pick one for sure, but you got 2 weeks now from actually less than that because we're doing that Thursday. So when this comes out, you've got about 10 days from it drops on Monday to get it in to us that we have enough time to deliberate over it for our next episode. Where can you email us, Adam?
You can email us at videogamedads@yahoo.com,
All right. And our Facebook?
facebook.com/videogamedads.
All right, and our Twitter is @VideoGameDads, and our Instagram, that's new, but please follow us on Instagram. You'll get some pictures of our collection. We'll take some pictures of the kiosks, some stuff we mentioned, the Mountain Dew Xbox, all this kind of fun stuff. So follow us on Instagram. We're just figuring that kind of stuff out. We really appreciate any feedback from our listeners, comments, concerns, things like that, reviews. We've had a couple this week. Do we want to put those out or wait till next episode? What do you want to do, Adam?
We'll group them and put them with next episode.
All right. So sorry, we did get some great emails and feedback and things like that. I think we just kind of ran out of time this time, but we will mention all this stuff because we definitely said we would, and we really we've had quite a few emails recently and quite a few listeners. Also, if you're a new listener, we've loved all the feedback we've gotten. How you finding us, but let us know how you found us. We're always interested in that. Leave us a review on iTunes. That helps us be seen more. But yeah, definitely let us know how you found us. So we're really interested in that since we've taken quite a little jump in our listener count, which we're really appreciative of our fans. Really like all the feedback you guys have given. And please continue to do it, and we will continue to try to produce this podcast and get better and better as we go. We're trying to get better with our editing and all this other stuff to try to make things as fluid as possible, but we're just a bunch of amateur guys doing the best we can. So sorry, bear with us through our growing pains. But
yeah, we're actually recording all of this on tape cassette.
yeah,
it takes a long time to edit tape cassettes.
yeah,
This podcast.
yeah, we moved up from reel to reel.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, every time we pause, we got to get new tape.
Before we were shouting into a can. That wasn't working really well.
we were screaming into the end of a phonograph.
Yeah, and we were sitting by the tape recorder hitting record while we were doing that, waiting for our favorite song to come on, make a mixtape. I used to do that. I used to do that all the time. But our next one is big episode 20. So we're excited about that one. But episode 19, I think this is our episode. So thanks so much, guys, for listening. See you next time. Have a great couple weeks. We will see you next time on episode 20.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
If you enjoyed that music, please check out Evan King on Bandcamp for further details, and you can download some for yourself. Thank you.
Bye-bye.